Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Oh my god, awkward.
Huh? It's a house!
You know, that's just one step above stupid.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
How's it going, freaks? All right. It's like almost all mods and some members. Mel Stiller is the only non-member that's commenting in there. Yeah, so I thought tonight we would talk about what I always want to talk about, or I like talking about, is the, the whole element of signature or a calling card or something that maybe Coburger left. Now the thing is Coburger, he didn't really get to become a serial killer. You know, I don't know if there's any, I don't think there'll be any other homicides prior that will, I just thought, I feel like this is his first time, but he wanted to be a serial killer. I think Coburger, he took all those classes, he, had a teacher that was an expert in serial killers, especially BK, or BTK, which is interesting, And I think Coburger was just a type that he wanted to get it just right the first time, like he wanted to go out and then he was just going to keep committing the homicides. And I think he was trying to, my opinion is that he was probably trying to put in all of, a whole bunch of cool serial killer things. Hey, thanks, Derek. Thank you for gifting a membership to I Am Also the Walrus. Whatever the hell that means. Yeah, so it seems like he's just somebody that was like, yeah, I just want to, he wants to do all the cool stuff. So he went and found, probably looked into Danny Rolling, probably BTK, Dennis Rader, and then also Ted Bundy. I made a whole video on right when the murders happened that maybe he was trying to emulate him. And then once you have that in your mind, that okay, look at, he's just trying to emulate, and he's not like this natural. I mean, are any of them natural though? I mean, maybe all, a lot of the serial killers learned something from some other serial killer. Although, before there was as much publicity about it, it seems like these people just evolved naturally, where Coburger probably just sort of read all of up and go, ooh, I like that one. Ooh, yeah. He knew what kind of a person he was, but he wasn't sure what he was going to be doing. So he sat around and he figured it all out, and he put all the little pieces together. I wouldn't be shocked at all if there's something written somewhere in some kind of a folder somewhere where he was taking notes on what he wanted to be, Hey, thanks, back pain forever. God, I feel bad. If you really have back pain forever, I'm sorry. Back pain sucks. And thanks, Ted Bundy, the actual serial killer. Look at that. He sent 5 channel memberships in. Yeah, that's just how I look at him. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Here, we'll do a poll. Do you think Bundy was trying to emulate other serial, or just maybe imitate? There you go, just something like that. We'll just start that one off. What do you guys think about that? Because I think he moved from Pennsylvania to the state of Washington, just like Bundy. And then he went after sorority girls, just like Bundy. Except Bundy was totally different. I mean, in terms of his MO, he would, Bundy, we did a whole, God, it seemed like a 2-night series. Went through all the articles on him. But Bundy, you know, he would pretend that he was injured or something and go, have his like limp or have an arm in a sling and ask for help from some unsuspecting woman, and then he would, attack, grab them, and or get them to get into a home or something. I mean, give them a ride. I mean, he just did everything, and then he would bludgeon them to death. I mean, just an absolute psycho. And apparently, he buried the bodies, and then he would go revisit them. I mean, that's just so weird to picture Bundy doing that, but. So a lot of people up there say no. Or most people say yes, but some people say no. I mean, there's no way for us to get to know the answer, but I think he was trying to do that. That's what I think. I think he wanted to get it all just right and be this elusive killer where he took the classes in school. He knew how to not contaminate a crime scene, etc. Hey, thanks KMTX78 and Deidre Gambrel for gifting the membership. And thank you, Derek Sherman. I think that BK thought he was smarter than Bundy and tried to prove it. Yeah, I mean, Brian Coburger, I think he thinks he is the smartest person in the room. And my belief is, as I've said,
that he was smarter than Bundy and tried to prove it. Thoughtful face emoji.
There, hold on a second, let me put these up here. So there's Derek gifted one there, then we have T. Bundy and back pain forever. I had this neck pain one time. It didn't go away for months. I didn't know what to do. Really depressing. Get your Gambrel and then there we go. Let's see. Yeah. So I just, he took those classes. He knew how to not to contaminate a crime scene. He wanted to work for the police. I think his goal was to work for the police department and commit these homicides and try to sort of manipulate the direction, or at least he would know what was happening from inside. That's what I think. It's crazy because he wanted to work there and do those, what was it, shit, I can't remember what the hell that was. Why he was going to work for the police department. I didn't say Bundy was imitating a serial killer, WM. I said Kohberger is imitating serial killers. Were you not paying attention? Or let's see. Could you go in and change? Let's see. I have a diseased spine, so I think it's pretty close to have back pain forever. Jeez. There's shots out there you can get, into the different discs and so forth. Yeah, I don't know if I said Bundy, but I meant Brian Coburn if I said that. I don't remember saying that. Oh, is that my poll question up here? Oh, you think Bundy... Oh, okay. Let me end it and start over. I thought you were talking about what I said. Never mind. Let me just redo the poll. That's my fault. I thought you were talking about something I said. Do you Now, that might change the results. Okay. I thought you were talking about what I was saying. All right, so there you go. There you go. That was an error on my part there. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, the poll says Bundy. That's why I just changed it. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I did in the poll, right. I got it. I figured it out. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, maybe Bundy was too, though, right? I mean, but Bundy was his own... I mean, that was back in the 70s. They didn't have... Or, you know... They didn't really publicize a lot about, you know, like, how... Where would he study to become another serial killer? Today, it's just like you get online and... Hey, thanks, KMTX. What was your name before? I'm not really liking the new name change thing. Because, you know, I know all your people, everybody in here, all the freaks and other people that show up by your name that you always had on there. And I don't see the... Well, I'm not talking about you, Bubblegum. You were correct. I didn't... there was other people that kept typing it in over and over again. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's K-Me? Oh. That's hilarious. Yeah, man, you guys can be able to change some of those names back, right? How many K-Me's are there out there? And then, well, who are you? Egg loves her 3 cats. No, it doesn't work on StreamYards. I streamed yesterday in StreamYards, and it has the same problem. Today I'm streaming using OBS Studio, just like I did last night, and I just don't think I think YouTube... I don't know if that was... Who was that? Was that you? Bubble Yum, you said you got an email yesterday? Can you forward me the email that you got that explained that that they're changing names? Because I never saw that. I don't know what Gigi. I'm Gigi? Oh. Yeah, StreamYards was the first show yesterday. It didn't work, and then this is the second one. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, what are we at in the poll? So 86% out of 70 said yes. Alright. Okay. So I guess what we could do is let's just look to see what these signatures and calling cards are. Alright, so I'm just going to use the Wikipedia thing. I mean, I've got I have this book called let's see, what the hell is it called? It's not on that page. Hold on. It's called Practical Homicide Investigation. So like 1,000-something pages long. Yeah, it's just crazy. This one right here. Practical Homicide. No, you guys can't see a damn thing. Jesus. Right here. Practical Homicide Investigation, Tactics, Procedures, and Forensic Techniques. 5th edition by Vernon J. Gibberth, or Gibberth maybe. I bought that like, I don't know, 2019, and then it costs like $250. I mean, it's crazy. You guys look it up. It's wild. It's huge, and it really is like, if you are an investigator and you basically had the whole book memorized, you'd probably be one of the best that there is out there. Let's see. Yeah, that's crazy. So, we'll look at the 2 pages that they had on signatures in there, but first we'll do the Wikipedia just for a calling card. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty generic. So, first let's go with signature. So it says a signature crime is a crime which exhibits characteristics. Let's see, idiosyncratic to specific criminals. I'm not sure if this is what this one's talking about. Known as a signature aspect. I know this calling card is correct, but maybe that's not what signature was about. See, signature is like a psychological, they committed the crime in a psychological manifestation of how they feel and do, like the way that they commit the crime is their signature. And a calling card is something different. It's something specifically left or sent to law enforcement, something like that. But in criminology, a calling card is a particular object sometimes left behind by a criminal at a scene of a crime, often as a way of taunting police, claiming responsibility. The name is derived from the cards that people used to leave when they went to visit someone's house and the resident was absent. A calling card can also be used as an individual way of telling someone they are alive after they have run away or disappeared without revealing themselves. Can also be used as Wow, thanks, Cheryl Moran. Jeez. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't know if I have my sound effect going on. Do I? I think I turned it off last night. I wasn't able to. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, there you go. Willows, trials, and okay, yeah. Let's see. Good move. Hey, thank you, Judy. Appreciate that. A calling card can also be used as an individual's way of telling someone they are alive after they have run away. I haven't heard that one before. It is often left at a bedside table while the person is asleep. Oh, okay. So just a generic term. All right. And let's just look at this. This is something that I got off of Google when I looked it up. And in context of serial killers, a signature is a psychological aspect of the crime that fulfills the killer's needs, while a calling card is a physical object left at the scene to taunt or claim responsibility. But you can have an overlap of a signature as a calling card. For example, if you use a specific item each time, it fulfills your psychological need, but it's an item left at the scene, and maybe you're sending a message with that each time too. The signature is a consistent pattern in how the killer commits the crime. So he might, like Coburger, likely he doesn't have a signature because he wasn't able to commit more crimes. Now, if he killed all 4 in that spree killing that he had, or mass killing, maybe you might assign it that, like if he killed each one in a particular way and they were posed or something. And that's another thing, is like posing somebody after the killing is likely a calling card. Not necessarily a signature, because that wasn't something that you meant it for it to be a message to whoever found her or him. Hey, thanks, Lizzie Rob. Let's see, and then this one is a signature, psychological motivation. Signatures. Let me go over here. A calling card on the other hand, is a deliberate act of leaving something behind, often symbolic, to communicate with others, often the police. All right, so this is where I kind of go with my K-bar knife sheath left intentionally scenarios. Then you got psychological motivation. Signatures are driven by the killer's deep-seated psychological needs and desires. They are not necessarily conscious choices, but rather ingrained patterns of behavior. So signature are driven by the killer's deep-seated psychological needs and desires. They are not necessarily conscious choices, but rather ingrained patterns of behavior. See that? Like that's just how they do it, and it's unique-ish to that person, right? Consistent behavior. Signatures remain relatively consistent across multiple crimes. They are a reflection of the killer's unique personality. Well, there you go, the word unique. Personality and motivations. And then example, a killer who always stages a victim's body in a specific pose or with a particular object might be exhibiting its signature behavior, right? So that one, they're saying signature. I guess if it's like every single time, but see, I would call that, I mean, I think that would almost be a crossover though, because it's not really, it's something you did after the fact, but who knows? I mean, I have heard that they are a crossover though between signatures and calling cards. Calling card, intent to communicate. So like if you pose somebody in a way to communicate to whoever found her, I think that was that's something that makes it crossover. And it says the calling card intended, and then physical object. A calling card is a tangible item left at the scene. It could be anything from a specific object to a note with a message. So posing maybe isn't that, because that's the victim, but that is an object, the person. Example, leaving a specific type of flower on the victim, or writing a message on the wall, or leaving a K-bar knife sheath. Yeah, just kidding, doesn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Key differences. Consciousness. Signatures are often unconscious behaviors, while calling cards are deliberate actions. Signatures focus on the psychological motivations of the crime, while calling cards focus on the communication aspect. Signatures are consistent across multiple crimes, while calling cards may vary. There you go. So you guys know, have a good grasp on that now? So then here's an example. Like here's the beer man. This is an actual serial killer. Ravindra Cantrell decided the best way of leaving his mark was to leave a beer can beside each victim. And I think Coburger was going to leave a K-bar knife sheath or something associated with a weapon at each scene, but I think he was just going to keep using K-bar knives. All the victims were poor, living on the street, and some were drug addicts because, according to him, they attracted less attention, but all were either stabbed or clubbed to death. That's Bundy, likes to club people. Ironically, he was caught while he was getting some food that was being handed out in Mumbai. He claimed he would beat his victims first, as he loved seeing the blood, then would finish off the job by stabbing them. In the end, he got a life sentence, being originally charged for 7 beer can murders. Why he chose beer can may forever remain a mystery.
I'm going to be on Jeopardy next week, last head.
Oh yeah? like are you really going to be on Jeopardy? Let's see. We got that. And then there's this one. The smiley face killer. This one sounds like a really bad horror movie. This killer. This is in, let's see. Hold on. This one sounds like a really bad horror movie. This killer or killers are connected to more than 40 deaths of college-age men all over the country. I'm not sure that they, but these faces do exist, so they're real. And that have been made to look like an accidental drownings. Using GPS devices and good investigative work, 2 detectives tracked the flow of the river from the point where each body was found and determined approximately where the bodies were dumped. Around some of the locations, a smiley face was painted on a tree or rock or some other surface. Each face they found was more haunting than the last. The worst was in Iowa, drawn in red with devil horns and the words evil, happy, smiley face man written next to it. The fact that the deaths took place in multiple states, some on the same day, led the detectives to believe more than one killer was involved. So that's another, somebody leaving a message at the crime scene. And it's, that's interesting though, because I wonder if did they really believe that that's a serial killer? Because I've heard other thoughts on that, but. And then we've got the happy face killer. What's the deal with these psychos killing the happy face images? Keith Hunter Jesperson was the original smiley face drawing serial killer. Combined BTK's love of using a signature on his letters to the media. Because remember, BTK had he would send letters. That was his calling card, and he put the little. There was a picture where it looked like breasts, and then BTK, and it made like a body. Combined BTK's love of using signature on his letters to the media and the smiley face killer's love of smiley face. Jesperson killed 8 women over the course of 5 years and ended up turning himself in. Oddly, 2 people confessed to his first murder, and he hated all the attention they got. So he kept on going. That first murder, which, according to Jesperson, didn't really happen as planned. He took a woman home, afraid he would go to jail for hitting her. He figured he would just kill her to cover it up. After the other 2 people got the attention for the murder, he drew his first smiley face on a truck stop. He was a truck driver. Bathroom wall, along with an anonymous confession of the murder. Yeah, so you got that. And then we've got, let's just look at this practical. I had to scan it in off the book. I mean, this is what 1,000 pages are this dense. It's not like these, it's filled and it's got picture after picture. I mean, really kind of horrific photographs in that book of crime scenes and different things they look at. It's pretty crazy. In addition to victimology and presentation of the victim in the crime scene, the investigators must understand this is modus or MO and signature. In addition to victimology and presentation of the victim in the crime scene, the investigator must understand the significance of modus operandi and signature, especially in sex-related incidents. Modus operandi is a learned behavior that tends to change as offenders gain experience and or build confidence in their crimes. Some reasons for a change in an offender could be attributed to experience, maturity, education, incarceration, jail time, criminal versatility, and or technology. Some examples of modus operandi are an offender who brings a weapon or uses a con. The times of crime, let's see. Let me read that again. Some examples of modus operandi are an offender who brings a weapon or uses a con, that's Bundy. The times of crime, the days of the week, intelligence gathering, stalking, methods of control of victims. You could probably BTK would be that one. Use of the victim's vehicle, and the location of crime scene inside or outside. Huh. And the signature aspect of a violent sexual offender is I mean, they have pictures of what these killers did in this book. I can't show them on here, but I mean, it's just horrendous. The signature aspect of a violent sexual offender is a unique and integral part of the offender's behavior, which refers to the psychodynamics of the event. The psychodynamics are the mental and emotional process underlying human behavior and its motivations. Earlier in the chapter, we spoke about human sexuality and behavioral distinctiveness. Clinically speaking, there is a behavioral distinctiveness in human sexuality. The unique aspect of our arousal and response system accounts for why individuals differ in their sexual behaviors. Many sexual criminals are not satisfied with just the murder and have compulsion to express themselves. Unlike MO, the core signature is constant. However, over time, the signature component evolves. Some examples are overkill, mutilation, sexually posing the body, and engaging in post-mortem activities. The victim is treated as a prop to be used to fulfill their violent sexual fantasies as they progress from victim to victim, leaving their imprint at the scenes. Offenders who engage in sexual activities do leave unique signatures, which allow law enforcement to link their crimes and similar events. Although the rituals may not be exactly the same or identical in nature, the behavior of the offender with his victim and the sexual theme will be consistent. The investigative question is, what did the offender do that went beyond what was necessary to commit the crime? So, what did the offender do that went beyond that necessary to commit the crime? Isn't that interesting? I think that's just crazy. Yeah. But what did they do? So they, like a sexual assault is just a sexual, you could have just, I mean, that's it, just a sexual assault, right? But it's like, what else was there? Did they tie the arms up, put a gag, different things that they may have done. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake 753.
Thanks, great. Ocean wave emoji. Ocean wave emoji. Ocean wave emoji.
Appreciate it. There seems to be a little too deep for BK. Huh? I don't know what that means. Let's see. I think it's very possible the sheath was left on purpose. Yeah, well, that's what I'm just getting, we'll get to all that. I'm trying to lay down, like, if you just think about it, like, Coburger wanted to be a serial killer, and the only people that want to be serial killers are ones that really are serial killers. That's him. Like, he just probably learned about different ones. It's like, ooh, let me try that one. Like the K-bar knife that Danny Rolling used. So then we go here. Summation of modus operandi versus signature. The modus operandi is how. What did the offender do to accomplish the act? What did he do to ensure the success of the crime? What did he do to protect his identity and escape? Well, I mean, look at all that in, like, the Kohberger, I mean, he stalked the house. He wore gloves, an outfit, a balaclava to protect his identity. MO is a taut-driven process. Oh, that's interesting right here. Listen to this part. Hey, thanks, Amber Maiden. Look, it says, MO is a taut-driven process based on past success. Well, isn't that interesting? Because didn't Kohberger write the paper to try to speak to other criminals and, like, what it was like for them? So he wanted to learn, get his past experience vicariously through the people who answered that survey. What do you think of that? I just thought of that right when I was reading that. MO is a taunt-driven process based on past successes. Hey, thanks, Cheryl Moran again. Riding the alley cake wave.
Riding the alley cake. Ocean wave emoji. Ocean wave emoji. Ocean wave emoji. Umbrella on ground emoji.
Is a taunt-driven process based on past successes. Isn't that interesting? That part right there? Because that's what, you know, he didn't have a past. He didn't have past experiences, so he got his experiences from his survey. I think that's pretty crazy. Like, and if you remember, he tried to get really, like, I guess when there was people that responded, he would get really, like, try to get more information out of them, try to already know what it was like to commit these, you know, various elements of crimes. That doesn't make any sense, Bulby. Yet again. That survey was after he graduated, so that theory doesn't work. How's that? What do you mean? He did the survey before he committed the one set of murders that he did. man, it's just, you seem like you go out of your way to try to find something every time, but you know, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work. All right, so then this is right here it says the investigation of sex-related homicides. Now that's just the title at the top. But right here it says, did the victims... No, wait, that's one we just did, and I'm looking for this one. Here we go. Right here. Hey, thanks, Sandy Shirley. Very kind, very kind. Yeah, well, I think the calling card, he's only left one. You know, and he might have done the carving to try to have a signature, or, you know, like a signature in there too. Like, ooh, I need to have a signature. So he carves one person's leg. You know, that's just what seems weird about, like, he, to me, just seems like somebody was trying to get all the cool things that he thought were cool into one of them. You know, I had to catch Allie's wave before my shower. Well, thanks for letting us know, all right? Let us know how it comes out.
Riding the alley cake wave. Ocean wave
thanks,
emoji,
Dixie Hippie.
Ocean wave emoji. Ocean wave emoji.
All right, right here. The signature is Y. What did the offender do to the victim in the crime? What was the theme of the event? Signature is a fantasy-driven process. These rituals are incorporated into the criminal act. What were the behavioral aspects to the event? You know what I think is very possible? I think Coburger was going to kill only Madison Mogan, and he was going to do all kinds of these things. The carving he did on Ethan Chapin was likely something he was going to do up there, but his whole plan got thrown out the window. So he was like, ooh, let me try to get this one in, and, you know, I don't know, but that's what it feels like. Let's see, we've got Riding the Alley Cake Wave, and then this one by Alan McMahon. Come on, Gray. BK's innocent. What are you talking about? It was an Aryan nation. Remember? But we had our buddy write the story about Brian. It's actually, one kid was named, it's a twin. One son was named Brian, and the other one was named Aryan. Aryan nation approved hit. Didn't you know this? But they goofed and left 2 surviving roommates, and they set up BK big time. Yeah, of course. You know how it goes. He's being sarcastic, by the way, everybody. Waving the alley cakes wave. what I'm doing. Hey, thanks, Shelly Boo Boo, for gifting a membership. All right. But don't you find those interesting? Let me just go through that part again. Just the summary at the bottom. The modus operandi is the how. What did the offender do to accomplish the act? What did he do to ensure the success of the crime? And these are all things you could jot down in a notebook. What did he do to protect his identity and escape? MO is a taught-driven process based on past successes. So Coburger wanted to know about what all the other criminals in his little survey to see how, their past successes, how they felt and like what, maybe what they did, etc., right? Who knows if that's what he was doing? That's just a thought. And then right here, the signature is the why. What did the offender do to the victim in the crime? Which is similar to the other one. But what was the theme of the event? Signature is a fantasy-driven process. These rituals are incorporated in the criminal act. What were the behavioral aspects to the event? Case of failure to apply victimology modus operandi and signature. You want me to read this little thing here? Like an example of something like the investigation went awry. It says, I remember reviewing and critiquing a serial murder case in which an offender had killed 10 young women over a period of 2 years. In the first case, authorities had little or no information except that the deceased was a drug user and prostitute. The second case involved a missing person. So these are, this person killed 10 young women, and now they're talking about each of the killings. In the first case, authorities had little or no information except that the deceased was a drug user and a prostitute. The second case involved a missing person who was not found until the killer was apprehended. However, the next two cases, which came about 4 months apart, were strikingly similar. Both young women had been killed in their respective apartments, and there were no signs of forced entry, suggesting they might have known their assailant. We always hear that. No forced entry means they might have known him. Had the detectives conducted the very basic inquiry, they would have become aware that the two cases were related and that both young women had worked at the same fast food restaurant where the offender had made their acquaintance. The failure to conduct basic investigative inquiry proved to be devastating to an entire community, as 6 additional young women were found under similar circumstances over the next year. Isn't that crazy? They just had to look, well, hey, did these guys know each other? Oh, they worked at the same... How did they not do that investigation, by the way? Isn't that amazing? So I guess sometimes, when people go, hey, Gray, have they checked the cell phone information? And I say, well, of course they have. But, man, maybe I should go. I don't know. I don't know if they've done that yet. Hey, thank you. I don't know what your actual name was before, but Mary QC. Thank you. It says any number of questions can be asked and answered depending upon the circumstances and or scenario of the crime scene. Consequently, an important factor in the proper formulation of a hypothesis will be the experience and knowledge of the investigator assigned to the case. Examining a crime scene with the purpose of identifying and interpreting certain items that may serve as clues to the type of personality is an excellent technique. And it says see chapter 21. I mean, this, if you don't have this book, it is expensive as hell, but investigative assessment, criminal personality profiling. There are common denominators between the psychological makeup of the criminal and the psychological clues to the crime scene reveals. Search by the FBI Behavioral Science Unit into sex-related homicides has disclosed a remarkable consistency in the type of person who commits certain acts. Although there is a wide range of difference among offenders who commit similar offenses, These offenders also share similarities and common traits. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting, if I do say so myself. Hey, thanks, Ted Bundy. It's really odd to be saying thank you to Ted Bundy when you're talking about this stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were just saying that last night. I think Ann Taylor, her biggest mistake, or probably her biggest regret, is wanting a venue change. Because, man, everything... Judge was very timid, you know, for lack of a better term. He was just sort of like, yeah, okay, should we... You know, and then Hitler comes in there, and he's like... God, I don't even know what to compare him to. He's like I think Hitler is a Supreme Court level type of judge, thinker type. You know, he just came in there and just bing, 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 bing. He knows what, you know. You know, the thing that's rare, it seems like a lot of times, is common sense. And he has that. Yeah. All right, and then I went back and I found this really old document in the documents that are out there. This one's from October 2023. I guess it's not really old, but it's, you know, it has something to do with the IgG stuff, but at least it just kind of explains. Like, you type in sheath every time. It said, on November 13, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were found murdered as part of law enforcement investigation into the homicides. The FBI employed the use of investigative genetic genealogy, or IgG, using DNA located on a K-bar knife sheath found at the crime scene. And look, I actually purchased a while back a 3D model of a K-bar, the exact type. I mean, see this USMC Eagle Globe. So there was actually a 3D model out there of it. And probably if you just get rid of this guy, yeah, just like maybe just have the sheath there. And so when they say on the button of the knife sheath, but I've heard many times that it was on the underneath side of the button snap. Haven't you guys heard that? I don't know where that's written, but I've heard that a million times. But they found one single source of DNA on the button snap. Now here's what I'll say: if this part right here is clean, this part right there, then, but it was just underneath, like the bottom, then I would be almost certain that this was left as a calling card, that the knife sheath was left there to say, this is, not like I'm here, the name, but like, hey, I'm going to keep leaving these, like, okay, here's this one. And then the next killing, there'd be another K-bar knife sheath, and they would say, oh, wow, these are connected. And he would just keep doing it over and over and over again. Right, so if it's this part and that's clean, that means he cleaned it. But the under part, it means so. Don't you guys agree with this? If there's DNA from his fingers on the underside of the button snap, but it's not on the outside shiny button part, doesn't that absolutely mean that he cleaned that knife sheath? Because how would that be possible? That means he cleaned it. Hey, thanks, Your Gypsy. Hey, good seeing you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Your Gypsy. Hey, at least your name's the same. What do you guys think about that? Let me do a poll. Let me end this one here. And we're just doing the cleaning portion now. If the If the outside button snap was clean and the DNA was on the underside snap, did he clean it? Alright. I mean, that's that's about as good as I could. I'm sure I could come up with a shorter version of that. And I think he was trying to purchase another sheath, perhaps to do another one. And I'll give you another thing here in a minute. So I'm just going to wait and see what your answers are. So when people say no, what is your logic on the no portion? Okay. You ever notice, Bubble Yum, that you always have a counter theory to every single thing that I say? You ever notice that? And it's never more logical. It's like, hey, maybe he accidentally transferred his DNA onto the sheath by touching the gloves. Oh my God. The reason there's DNA on this part of the sheath is because you touch it hard, you squeeze it, and you snap it, and that's why it's on there. Really easy to find. They check those locations like that. It isn't a brushing of something. It's that he had to press down and squeeze it. All right, let's see. Yeah, it is true. It's illogical what you just said. Let me put this in the. It's way less likely what you just said. All right, so I'm gonna open up this picture right here, and here's what I want you to think about too. So we're at 75% up there. That's cool. I'm going to end the poll here in a second. But hey, make sure to hit that like button, you guys. It's really easy. Hit that like button right now. Hit that like button 10, 20, 25, 30. Hit that like button 40. It's one of the easiest damn things to do in the world. Use your nose, use your toes, whatever blows. Hit that like button. Simple thing to do. Just hit that like button. Hey, yeah, you can think whatever you want, Joyce. I'm going over the reasons why I think it. You don't have any reasons why you think it was left accidentally. I'm giving reasons why I think it was left intentionally, and specific reasons. Okay, anybody can go, oh yeah, he left it accidentally when they got in the fight, but there's no indication of that. You people just assume that information. I'm sure law enforcement might even argue that because it gives some power to the victims, and it also, how do you prove that he left it there? I'm just going over the elements that show that. Oh, Gray. Yeah. It's like people go out of their way just to, I just think he left it accidentally. Okay, how come? I don't know, I'm going through the information. So look at this picture right here. What is this picture telling you guys? All right, so 70% think he cleaned that knife, if that was clean. What is that telling you? That picture right there. Like, what do you guys get out of that? Should I do another poll? Let's see, let me do this. Thumbs up. Thumbs up picture means, let's see, job, like it's okay. And then what's another one? Mission accomplished. And what's something else? I got good job, mission accomplished. What's another thing you might be doing? I mean, I guess that's about it. All right. Any other ones? Yeah, like done. All right. I'm just the last one. I didn't have another one. All right, here we go. Good job. Mission accomplished. No reason at all. You just, hey, look at me. I mean, he looks like he's got a smirk of, like I did this. Hey, what's going on? John Dunn. I'm going to be a big star now. Yeah, that's what he's doing. But here's the thing, everybody. Let me just ask this real quick. Do you think he'd have a smirky, happy face like that if he knew that he had left the sheath at the crime scene accidentally? Wouldn't he think, oh my God, I screwed up. Holy shit. I don't know. Would he really ever even have a moment of, yeah? But if he left that there as a calling card, he probably would have a look like that because he's got all the things going, man. He cleaned that sucker. He left it there. And they'll see that and it'll be really cool. And when he went there at 9 in the morning, it was not to go look for the sheath. I can't believe how many people keep saying that over and over again. It's like he never went back to the house. But answer the question that let me hit this one. So mission accomplished is what everybody had. Now I'll ask another poll question. All right, there you go. Oh, Jesus. No, bubblegum. No. Let's see. When he got it on Amazon, he grabbed it just like every other time. He wouldn't know. See, the thing is he'd have his DNA on that knife sheath because he wasn't going to leave it at the crime scene. So when he got it, he would have held it in his hands, done stuff with it, etc. If he was wearing gloves when he purchased and he received the K-bar knife sheath, that means he was intending to leave it there the whole time. But what he did was, the knife sheath was clean. He got the knife sheath. He got it all ready. And then he cleaned it down, rubbing over the top of the button and everything, and made sure that there was no DNA anywhere on that knife sheath. But he missed the spot on the bottom of the button snap. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, I'm sure you do, T. Morrill. I'm sure you do. You guys just have your own thought in your head, so you can't let it... You can't come up with a new thought. I just explained, I don't know if I can explain it any better than I just did, this whole thing. You know, it's just so wild. You know, it's just the same concepts that everybody has over and, oh, Jesus. As soon as I get the thanks, T. Morrill, that's when you get timed out. That kind of garbage like that. That's when you get the teaming up crap. Let's see. Could divert the investigations. So, you have a. Yeah, but it's okay, T. Morrill. You're just wrong though. That's the thing. You know, it's okay to be wrong though. I'm just telling you. So he has gloves. He goes in to commit the crime. So why would there be the DNA would be on the knife sheath anyways because he didn't clean it before going if he was going to take it back home with him, right? I mean, doesn't everybody get that? I mean, that's the part that I wish everybody would just sort of get. I'm just telling you, man. Like, it just, I don't understand. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I could sit here and keep being logical and reasonable, but there's people that just sort of concluded he left it there accidentally with no proof of anything. And they can't change their mind even when presented with information that actually shows that it's likely, or even like a little more than 50%, that he left it there intentionally. But to say, oh, no, not me head, no, he left it there, that's crazy. I fully admit that he could have left it there accidentally. And I don't know if there's blood all over that damn thing. And the only source of, single source of DNA was on the bottom of the button snap, and that just happened to be there. Okay? So maybe that, if it comes out that there's blood all over it, and there's mixtures of everything, and there just happens to be one single source that they could find underneath the button snap because the top of it was covered with blood, etc., then I'll think totally differently. But that's not what we have so far. Right? Nobody knows, T-Moral. That's what I'm saying. So for you to be like completely dismissive of a theory that has more facts behind it than accidental, it's strange. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because I've just presented you with all of the information. Coburger was studying, had a teacher that was a serial killer expert. He wanted to be the cool serial killer. He's going to start off with all these things. You know, we don't know if that's actually what he was thinking in his head. However, you know, a K-bar knife sheath was left on the bed, apparently underneath like a quilt. You know, first of all, you know, that's another thing. Like, how did he get under the quilt? You know, maybe he tucked it under there. But the K-bar knife, they could only find one single source of DNA on that K-bar knife sheath, and it was on the underside of the button snap. So doesn't that indicate to you that it was clean? That that knife sheath was cleaned? Yeah, let's do, how about this? I'm not sure. What was the... I forgot. I didn't get to see what the answer was to that poll question. Oh, yeah. No. Would he have that confident smirk knowing that he left the sheath accidentally uncleaned at the scene? Now, when we get to the trial, and let's say we find out that that thing is covered with blood, and they just... Yeah, man, they finally found a spot that they could find DNA. Okay, that would change my theory. I mean, I'm just telling you what we know now. And all they said was they found one single source of DNA on the knife sheath on the underside of the button snap. That's it. And so let me ask this question right here. Here's a good question for you. Would Coburger... Here's one for you, T-Moral. Would Coburger clean... All right, there you go. There's one. No, that's not what he... We just already explained that, Jagslov. He didn't go back to look for the knife sheath. You guys are... Oh, my God. Oh, shit. He knew he didn't have the knife sheath when he left. Wouldn't he have gone back at 6 in the morning? He went back at 9, thinking the cops were going to be there, and he wanted to observe the mayhem. He didn't go to the house, okay, when he went back at 9 in the morning. He did not go back to the house. All right. So look at this question here. Would Kohberger clean a knife sheath he intended to be on taking it? Well, that's really shitty. Let me end that poll. Let me start that over again. I was trying to think about other stuff. Hold on. Would Kohberger clean the knife sheath if he intended to not leave it there. Because the thing is, I think that's unreasonable to believe that he would sit there and clean a knife sheath just in the off chance he might drop it there. I think that would be silly at that point. Yeah, but if he was carrying it with him, that means he was going to leave it there, alligator. I mean, why would you carry it? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm gonna clean it because I'm gonna carry it. Therefore, I'm gonna. Man, I think the people saying yes is just so illogical. It's crazy. It's just people wanting to say yes so that it fits the theory that they've got. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I think due to he doesn't have that. He doesn't have obsessive behavior. That's all garbage. He doesn't have that. And Morgan, they're trying to paint that picture to explain why he was in his kitchen, removing his trash from the garbage can, but that's not true. Okay. Yeah, I don't think the OC. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what Amber Maiden just said. I totally agree. I think it's just totally. I think it's fake. They are saying he's got OCD so that can explain why he was in the kitchen, even though he'd never done anything like that before. Yeah. Yeah, he never went back to the. Nobody has any evidence that he went back to the house. And you know how we know he didn't go back to the house? You want to hear? Here's how we know. Can I tell you how we know? Because he didn't show up on the 1112 King Road camera again. He would have had to drive into there and go over to the house. And there's no way in hell a person who just killed 4 people at 9 in the morning, when you would think there'd be cops crawling the area, would go into a house looking for a knife sheath. He would have gone back at 5:30 or 6 in the morning right before he called his dad to go back to look for that. No way. Hey, Jagsla, man, you're not making sense, buddy. Sorry. You got to use better logic and common sense than you're trying. You're trying hard, but it's just not making any sense. Let's see. If he wanted not to leave it, he would have attached it to a belt. Right. I mean, wouldn't he have just put it on a belt like every other person would do? Well, maybe he didn't have the belt loops on the black outfit he had on. Gray. There's going to be nice people who disagree with you. Remember that? No. That's not the same thing, because you guys are intentionally disagreeing. I could see you saying, yeah, that's possible. I think it leans in this direction, and here's why. But you guys don't ever do that. You just sort of throw out comments just to sort of be, a little bit. I don't know. It feels like just intentional disagreeing. Like there's no point of it. I mean, I sat here for 45 minutes explaining the different elements that point to that, and instead of saying, well, yeah, wow, that's interesting, it just goes like, nope, because I've always thought this, so I've got to keep thinking it. I've thought all of them. I thought, wow, yeah, you left it there accidentally. And then I thought, well, maybe it's a calling card. And you look into different elements, and it seems like there's more things that point to it being left there intentionally. Ah, Jesus. Okay, well. Yeah. Maybe you come back when you can, have a little bit more respect than the way you just talk all the time. How soon do you think he started realizing they were onto him? Let's see. I think when he got pulled over twice, that's when they thought they were onto him. Yeah, and I'm telling you that. I don't know either. I think it's possible it was left there. I'm trying to say that I think there's more information that points to it being left there intentionally than it is accidentally. So when people type in, like T. Morrill just did again, over and over and over again, that he left it there, he did not, or what the hell was the comment? It was, it's not intentional. Or maybe she was actually just talking to me that time. I don't know, man. Maybe she was just talking about something I said and said it's not intentional that people do that. I don't know. But I was talking about the intentionality of leaving the sheath at the scene. So it kind of got confusing there. Do you think the signature for future events would also be a knife sheath? Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be a signature, though. It'd be a calling card, as I explained at the beginning of the show. I don't care if you were a police officer, Jagslav. It doesn't make it any better or anything. We have all kinds of YouTubers that are police officers, and they don't know how to figure anything out. So let's see. I hate when people do that. Hey, yes, I was a paralegal, everybody. I'm absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Let's see. But thank you for your service. Appreciate that. It just doesn't make it so that you can figure stuff out any better than anybody else. I don't think it was intentional either. Maybe he was wearing surgical gloves like he did when he was taking out the trash. See, but you guys are all using well, you can disagree all day. It doesn't mean anything. In that trial, they're probably going to say it was an accidentally left because it helps, gives some credit to the victims, and the fight knocked it off, and it helps. And there's no way to prove what I'm saying. It would only be him that you could ask. But remember, he was walking out with something that looked like that vacuum cleaner part, so maybe that was like the edger, and it was a big K-bar knife. I mentioned that it was under the button. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's been mentioned a million times. I just don't know where. I can't find the... So if it's on the outside of the button, and it's just on that button part, then it's more likely that I said at the beginning of the show that when we first started talking about this, if it's on the button snap, for example, in this picture right here, here's the sheath. If it was found on right there, then it's less likely that it was a calling card. If it's found on the underneath part, that means he cleaned it before going, and thought he did a good job, but he missed the part when he first got the damn thing and handled it, etc., and then he snapped it together. I just did. Yeah, I was in those hearings. So yeah, if you can find that, that'd be cool. Not sure which one it was. Ugh. I guess what I don't like is when people think that they are absolutely like, nope, in here on something that we can't know. And I'm just giving you the evidence here that shows that he left it as a calling card because Coburger wanted to do the cool serial killer stuff. All right? And so I'm telling you the reasons why. And so you can come up with the reasons why you think he may have accidentally left it there. But none of us know the actual answer. So when people say they're absolutely certain he left it accidentally, you're just lying to people. I don't know either way. You get it? Probably the IGG hearing day one. Yeah, well, see if you can find that. That'd be cool. I'm not even sure I ever watched that whole original IGG one. Yeah, it's smooth, but if you're pressing hard, you leave touch DNA much more, it gets more on there. If it just brushes your hand, like somebody was saying it would touch clothing and it got brushed onto there. No way. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird when you're trying to have a conversation and people go, nope, left it accidentally. Well, how come? Well, I have no reason, really. It's just, I'm just telling you. I bet he took lots of selfies holding that knife. That'd be pretty shocking. They had something like that. Yeah. Yeah, if you find it, maybe just send me an email on there. See, like that Jagsla guy goes, I was a police officer for almost 2 decades, brother. I've got plenty of common sense. You're not making much sense. That means you're not paying attention. Okay? Because I don't think I can make more sense than I'm making. Let me try it again. There's a knife sheath found on the bed of Madison Mogan. On the button snap, on the underside of a button snap, they found one single source of DNA on it. That means the knife sheath was clean. There was nothing on it other than underneath the button snap, one single source of DNA. Now, is it covered with blood and all that stuff? It would change what I think. But I'm just going on the wording that they've used so far. I thought I did hear one time somewhere that there was blood on the knife sheath or something like that. I just don't remember where it was or when it was or even if I actually heard that or not. But that would change what I thought. So you have the button snap, and why isn't there any other DNA that was easily swabbed on that knife sheath? Can anybody explain that? Because it was cleaned, right? Why would he clean a knife sheath that he intended to take with him? He would just go in, do the killing, and take off. Then they say, well, because he was holding it, so he figured, well, he might drop it, so then he cleans it really good, and then he... See, that's like looking for like an answer to something instead of just saying, what's more likely? But yeah, like if there's DNA on the button snap outside, sure, I'll say, yep. And it's okay, you know, like the whole thing, it's okay to disagree, but what I don't like is this. No. Then that makes me angry, you know, like it's just if somebody's gonna take the time to explain a long process where there is like, this is my explanation, and you go, no, he left it there accidentally. And then I say, then there's no explanation or anything. That's really frustrating and sort of rude, really. You know what I mean? So, what's going on, John Dunn? He was too concerned with not taking evidence into the crime scene based upon what he wrote about his school papers. I'm crashing out? What do you mean? Feeling pretty good. You're crashing out? Oh yeah, good night. Have a good night, Pix of Fury. It's a possibility, but when you add the psychology of, I lean towards he left it. Yeah. I mean, like, give me your explanations in here, you guys. We're not getting those. Would Coburger clean his knife sheath if he intended not to leave it? Yes. That's just crazy, man. Oh my God. So everything he cleaned, he brushed his shoes off and every single thing and made sure that, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I think he wore gloves to not leave his fingerprints. Cells from fingers that could compromise the sample. Huh? More likely is he is nowhere near as smart as he thought he was. Yeah, well, I mean, there you go. If you think he wiped everything down before going in, and during a battle he just happened to lose a critical, absolutely critical item, and then then just sort of somehow there was a DNA on the bottom of the knife sheath, then sure, I guess that's possible. Yep. I just haven't heard a better explanation in reverse. That just doesn't sound like, I mean, he's got a knife sheath that he's intending to take. How would anything on the knife sheath get anywhere into the house? Hey, thanks, Coco Banks, for gifting a membership to Heather Feather. Yeah, why didn't he pluck his eyebrows, for God's sakes? You don't think he was nervous that some of those eyebrow hairs would fall out while he was at the crime scene? Geez, he should have shaved his eyebrows. The fight was unexpected. Before that, he had control. Yeah, so here, my picture is this. And it doesn't mean my picture is better than anybody else's picture. This is just what I perceive, is that he went into the house to kill Madison Mogan. And he went up to the room, and I think he was going to leave the calling card there. Maybe he was going to try to do some signature thing with the knife. And lo and behold, there's Kaylee, and it created a problem for him. And then it led to much more activity in that room, but he was able to kill both of them, and he thought, okay, I'm still going to leave the calling card here. But then right around that time, that's when Xana comes up. And then he's like, holy, he had to chase her, but he left the sheath there. Then he chased her downstairs, and then he killed both of them. And then maybe he was like, man, I'm not going back upstairs. So he, the whole carving thing. I don't know what the carving thing is. Which part? Stargazing. Oh, the shaved eyebrows. Well, somebody else mentioned eyebrows above, so I figured that's right. Like, why didn't he do that? I mean, shit, if he's going to sit there and clean a knife sheath, wouldn't he wonder about his eyebrows? Your B key doesn't work, so I don't know what that means. What's a B key? Right, and his teacher was BTK, and we showed earlier, BTK left, he did the calling card thing. I think the carving was anger towards the male being there. Yeah, that's what Dr. Bakata, those kind of guys say. Like, yeah, he's interrupting my fantasy, so I'm angry. But we don't even know what the carving actually means. But I literally wipe everything with Clorox wipes regularly. Well, you must be one of Coburger's friends. Let's see, if he never trimmed his eyebrows, others would notice. If he did. Well, now he trimmed it and everybody notices, right? Now he's got them all. Yeah, the thing is when you have a counter argument, give me the reasons that are more plausible than the one I said. Doesn't you have to be more plausible, but just something that's, makes sense, relatively plausible. If you think that he sat around and wiped down his shoes, the knife sheath, every single thing before going in, I'd understand maybe shoes or something because those are touching something. But what would the K-bar knife sheath be touching? Normally you would put it on a belt. No. Well, they do it all the time. Pacavelisigls, whatever the hell your name is. Yeah, they do it all the time. I mean, seriously, it's not really incredibly common when they leave calling cards, but they do. He thought he had it all cleaned out. It was all just so perfect. And he had his thumbs up. I mean, you think it's dumb because, let me just say this. See, like, at Pacavelisigls, I'm not even sure how to say that name. If they didn't find the DNA on the bottom of that knife, the button snap, it would have been, wow, man, look at that. This guy was amazing. He was so incredible. He was able to not leave any DNA at all, and there's this knife sheath, and they're still looking for the killer. And then, oh, another crime happens, and here's another knife sheath. Right, he leaves the one thing, and he got caught just because of a one little part of DNA that he missed on the bottom of the button snap. Right, but almost every any calling card that any killer leaves was touched by the killer, right? I mean, that's how. So I'm saying that Coburger wanted to do all the cool serial killer things. So he was going to leave a calling card, and the knife sheath is it. And maybe that's why, if he'd thrown away the K-bar knife, then why the hell was he purchasing a knife sheath? So maybe he was purchasing another knife sheath to commit another crime. Who knows? I mean, we don't know why he was buying another sheath, except you could say he was buying it because if he was investigated, he'd want to say, well, look, I've got mine, you know, but then he realized, oh shit, it would show that I ordered it, so let me look into how do I hide the fact that I ordered this. Yeah. Bring the sheath into the house if he didn't intend to leave it. I mean, that's a good point right there, isn't it? Why did he have it in the sheath walking around with it so he could pull it out and then start doing whatever he's doing? I mean, that's a hell of a good point right there by at ER070559. See, what do you guys think of that? Why even bring the sheath into the house if he didn't intend to leave it? It's supposed to be worn on a belt, but he didn't do that. He carried it in. Why, if not to leave it? That's a really good point right there. And not because it agrees, it's one of those things that sound logically. You see what I'm saying? When you read that comment, doesn't that just make sense? Like, why would you bring that in? You're just going to go in with the knife and start killing, because instead you have this loose sheet that you're just sort of fumbling around. And yeah, I think he was trying to commit like this perfect crime and leave the sheath there with no DNA on it, and he was just going to be, ooh, look it, there was a K-bar knife left there. And then he'd do another crime somewhere and try to get away with it, and it'd be another item like, you know, either another K-bar or some other, you know, he was trying to get that other type of sheath. Did you see that? It was like a utility sheath. So that's sort of interesting. What if he was going to use a different type of knife but leave another sheath for that type of knife there at the next one? Pretty crazy. Well, when you say who says he didn't have it on his belt, I mean, so he got in this big battle and the belt got ripped off, and then I don't know. Or maybe, I guess you could maybe make the argument he was taking off his pants or something, and it was already unbuckled, and then Kaylee attacked, you know, like tries to hit him because maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how that works. Someone sees him, then he openly is carrying a knife around. Well, Dylan Mortensen saw the person carrying something that looked like a vacuum handle or something like that. let's see what day. Today's the 28th, all right? So if you guys on the 30th is our last, well, not last normal day. The 31st, wait, no, 30th is the last day of June. So on the 30th is our last day of the month, and you guys should show up for that. We do our donation night. This channel's given away $248,000 since January of 2020 directly from the income. So if you're watching the show and you want to help support the channel and all the great stuff we do as well, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Jumpsuit. So he wouldn't slice up his hands. That is the usual pretext, but there may be more to it. Huh? I don't know. I'm just trying to ask you guys, why is it so hard to believe that he left it there as a calling card? I mean, what's the, the battle against that thought? I mean, isn't it like 50-50-ish? I mean, don't you think it's odd that they only found one single source of DNA on that knife sheath? That it was that clean? And then it's like, well, no, he cleaned it before he went in, and then that's like, wow, really? I mean, I think he became really aware of thinking about DNA. Why is that one hole there like that? Of DNA after he was pulled over twice, and then he was like, God, did I not clean that well enough? Holy crap. And so then he's in his kitchen separating his trash. His sister said he was never like that. So, I mean, doesn't that tell you something? That he's not really, he doesn't do that? That's the K-bar knife right there. Doesn't say anywhere the sheath was spotless. It says that they could only find one single source of DNA on the knife sheath. And I've said 100 times that yes, if it's covered with all kinds of blood and everything like that, and even if the DNA is on the outside button snap, then I would think that it was probably accidentally left there. All right? But the only wording we have is that they could only find one single source, which, in some ways implies that they found, sources that weren't single source, that it was a mixture on the knife sheath, right? So that would, again, like I'm saying, if there's blood all over the damn thing, I don't know. And none of us know, and I'm just basing it on the wording used. It could be that they found other what do you call it? Like other, mixtures of DNA on it. So, DNA matched with the DNA found on the knife sheath found at the crime scene. There's 17 references to sheaths in this. While investigating the murders, law enforcement discovered a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. But we've heard in other times that it was on the, the underside of the button snap. Where do you come up with that, Dane? Calling cards generally don't cost the killer money. That's just silly. I mean, what a silly comment. All I can say is this is going to be a super interesting trial. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. I fully expect at trial that they'll say that in the battle with Kaylee, the knife sheath was pulled off and it was on the bed, and Oh, come on. No, no. They didn't only test. Yeah, you think that when they find a knife sheath at a scene, they're only testing the button snap? Give me a break. I mean, that's like a huge item. They're going to swab the entire thing and put it in different test tubes. And maybe after they did that, they go, well, this one is the only single source of DNA. There's a whole bunch of other mixtures and things. And yeah, that would change stuff for me. For me, I'm going with the fact that it seemed like it was basically pristine, but there was only one single source of DNA that they could find on the button snap. Where did he get under Maddie if she saw... Right, and that's the thing. I was like, how did he get under the quilt of Maddie we brought up the other day? If she was killed first. What do you mean, yes, Morgan? That was a question. How did it get under Maddie if she was killed first? Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, she's killed, and then there's a battle, but how does it ever even get under something? I mean, a sheet like that. I could see if like a body fell on top of it or something. That wasn't a yes or no question, though, Pamela. How did the DNA get under the button sheath if the knife wasn't in it and removed? Well, I mean, I wasn't really one of the questions, but no, but it's the most likely place to find DNA. Yeah, of course, they're going to check the button snaps because that's probably the best place to find it, because it's you'd have to press hard and have a good likelihood of leaving a powerful touch DNA sample there. Right. Yeah, so I mean, it's cool. I mean, my thing is I don't understand when people say, you know, you're so certain that it was left accidentally. I don't have any certainty on that at all. There's a lot of stuff I'm absolutely certain about. I'm 100% certain that Brian Coburger is the killer. I'm 100% certain that that's his white Elantra, and I know all the timing and the movements of it, etc. You know, but there's things like this that none of us actually can know the answer to unless he told us. And so I'm saying that, you know, based on his past and, you know, who he probably wanted to become, and that he wanted to be he obviously wanted to be a serial killer, and he probably wanted to be one that it was, immediately, ooh, look at that, he's leaving something at each crime scene. He wouldn't want to develop into what he was going to be leaving. I'm trying to figure out. I mean, the thing is, I'm not trying to... I know that sometimes I come across a certain way, but I'm just... I don't know. It feels like people just sort of jump with something and then they can't even envision any other thought, you know? Hey, thanks, John, out there. Appreciate the very generous PayPal there. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Or is that you? Sorry. I think that was our buddy in here. Yeah. I'm sure it's John Dunn, right? Is that you, John Dunn? Thank you. The sheath is 95% a mistake being left. Yeah, I don't think you can assign that greatness of it. How about this? Like, tell me in the chat, like, what are the main reasons that you think it is... Yes, Lord? What are you talking about, Pamela? Like, what are the main reasons that you think that it was left accidentally there? And do not bring up, he drove back at 9 in the morning. That has nothing to do with it. He didn't drive back at 9 in the morning to go look for a nice sheath. Let me ask you guys something. If you killed 4 people, would you think cops would be there at 9 in the morning? And the answer is yes. All right. That's the answer. Yeah, we'll do a poll on that one. If you killed, and maybe that's why if you wanted to listen to Scanner and looked it up and thought, ooh, there's nobody there. But, you know, in that case, he went back, maybe just to sort of, wow, I know that there's dead people in that house. You know, he wants to revisit that. Lord Webb Gray? What does that mean? I don't get it. Would not leave anything at the scene that I brought with me. Well, you wouldn't. But other killers do. That's why there's calling cards left at crime scenes. Right, Mark? I think he was confused why no one was there. I do too. I think he drove over there and he was like, wait, what's going on? How come there's, you know, and I think he might have driven by somewhere in one of those roads, you know, the side streets, like not making, oh, here, let me show you. Like, I think it's possible. See, here's where Linda Lane, the 1320 Linda Lane camera is. I think that it's very possible he was driving up here, like this, and he could see, wow, there's nothing really going on. Then maybe he came back like this, and then he didn't go down here. That's why he's not on that camera. And then maybe went to Taylor Avenue, and then he's getting the hell out of there now. You know, we don't know. He didn't go. He went back quickly, so it's on the highway. So, you know, we just don't know. I mean, he could have came in like this. That's how I would go in. When I went there, that's how I drove in. You come on this road right here. You drive right there like this. It comes around, and then you're right next to Sigma Chi here, but we know that his vehicle was spotted right here at, what was it, 9:12, driving by right there. So that's very close. I mean, miles wise from the house as the crow flies. I'm not sure why they always use crow and not something else. It's only 0.41 miles. It's close, or 0.48, because I went right to the building there. He researched replacement on the 14th. Yeah, I've got it all in my timeline here. And it wasn't the 14th, it was the 15th. So right here, he, let's see, on the 15th, where was it? 16th, Googled murdered for the first time. He Googled murdered. And then the 18th, Coburger registered his vehicle. Then on the 22nd, where was the one? I did have the one where he looked, 15th, edged weapon mentioned in NBC article. Oh yeah, and then on the 15th, he looked to purchase another K-bar knife. So 2 days after the homicides, not the 14th, the 15th. So 2 days after the homicide, Kohberger looked to purchase another K-bar. And then on the 16th, K-bar was mentioned in the papers. Then on the 16th, again, he Googled murders for the first time, watching the perfect killing machine, Ted Bundy. Then on the 18th, Kohberger registered his vehicle in Washington. Then on the 22nd, Kohberger, you know, or the person using his account, navigated to pages related to The deletion of account activity also looked to buy utility sheath and K-bar leather sheath. So he's just looking to buy a sheath. So that would indicate at that time that he would still have his K-bar knife by itself. You know, because then you would have the sheath and a knife. I mean, what was he going to do when they got to his house? Say, hey, Brian, we think it's you. We think we found your K-bar. He goes, no, look, here's a K-bar knife. Well, where's a sheath? Here's a sheath. Look, here's my K-bar sheath. And then they go, well, where's the knife? Well, I lost that. But I mean, that's ridiculous. Pennsylvania police recovered. And then it's let me get the dates over here. And then on 12/6, he almost purchased a K-bar knife. Hey, thanks KMTX. Almost purchased a K-bar knife, and then that's on. That was on December 6th. That's before he went home. And then on the 15th, he goes on a trip with his dad, with his father, and then he arrived at his parents' house on the 16th, and then he was fired on the 19th. And then on 12/27, Pennsylvania police recovered trash from Coburger's residence, and a DNA sample was determined to be Brian Coburger's father. Then on 12/30, Coburger was arrested and taken into custody at 1:45 in the morning. Paul wants to say, what day did his dad pick him up? I assume they left right when he got there, so maybe around the 27th, or not 27th, the 15th here. You know, maybe the 14th or 15th. I think it's right around the same date that Brett Kopacka, whatever the hell his name is. You just liked what? Maybe she's on Rewind. Pamela there. I'm just wondering. That's what I asked. You read my mind. Which one? Hey, thanks, M. Morgan. Appreciate that. All right. So, what do you guys want to go over? I mean, this is just my thoughts, and I'm telling you why I think it was left. Whether that's true or not, I mean, I don't buy when somebody goes, "You're not making any sense." I don't think I could make more sense. What I'm saying, I mean, whether you agree with why, it makes sense with what I'm saying, right? Like, it makes sense that I'm saying the way it's worded, it sounds like they could only find one single source of DNA. And I'm only believe what I believe if that's true, that he cleaned the sheath perfectly but missed a spot on the underside of the button snap. And my belief is that he cleaned it so he could leave it there, and he was wearing gloves during the crime. I know, you said intentional, right? Yeah, you said, I mean, I wasn't sure what you were referring to. But your responses are always kind of rude back, so it's just... maybe they mean it isn't too good of a rationale. What do you mean? my rationale is, I don't see, it's good. It's a good rationale. If Coburger wanted to leave a calling card at the crime scene because he wanted to do all the cool things that serial killers do, he thought he was smarter than everybody else, wouldn't he leave something like a knife sheath there? Doesn't that make sense? Like, oh yeah, well, that's my calling card, I'm gonna leave it there. And then when you think about it like that, wouldn't he, he would clean it. Hold on. All right. Is going to say it fell. Yeah, they are going to say that. The prosecution is, it's a better story to say that in a battle it got knocked off, and then it gives some, you know, like that. It gives more value to the fight that Kaylee had, right? Like it's like, oh wow, the fight with Kaylee, it knocked off the knife sheath, and without that, we would. It's kind of like the video that Libby took, except in that case, we know that she filmed it intentionally. No, well, there's no reason why they don't need to avoid it like the plague. They could say we also think that he may have left it there intentionally as a calling card. It's not a conspiracy theory-ish. Where do these people come from? How is that conspiracy theory-ish? My God, you guys. It's just... See, the reason people say it's illogical when they really mean to say the rationale of there being only trace of touched DNA means that he cleaned it to leave it purposely. Right, but why would he clean it if he was going to take it with him? I mean, I guess that's what I say to counter that. See, that doesn't make any sense. The rationale of cleaning it to leave it there... let me ask you this. Let me ask this question. Yeah, don't. Because you're rude when you comment. Let's see. Would you, if you were going, okay, what about this? Answer this question. All right. Why doesn't it let me ask the do it? Hold on. All right. Well, let me ask you this. So anybody, there should only be one answer to this question right here. And anybody that says the other one, you're either a troll or you're just, and that's just the truth. There is only one answer that's correct in this question. So the rest of the people are just trolls wanting to say something opposite. Look at that. No, you're going to not clean it. You're going to just throw it in there with your DNA all over it. You guys are crazy. So now we get the troll count in here. Let's see, 37. We got at least 5. And yes, T-Moral, you can say stuff. But, you know, you don't know either if it was a calling card or not. So when the way you worded it, you were just totally dismissive of this whole thing that I prepared and put together. It wasn't very nice. Yeah, I mean, you can be back and forth. It's just like, I'm not sure. That's exactly where I am. Except, I mean, I'm like 55, 45. You know, I think there's a good chance that it was left as a calling card. And even if it was 30, 70, I'd still make a video on it because I think it's possible. I know, I don't care what you think, Stu Pot. You know why? Because you didn't give a reason why behind it. You're just typing in like the rest of the clowns. All right, so we've got, if you leave an object. See, here's how you know people are intellectually dishonest. Watch this. If you leave an object as a calling card at a crime scene, would you clean it first? And the fact that 27% said no, that means you're being intellectually dishonest. Do you guys agree with that? What I just said? How could there be anybody that said no to that question? No, seriously though, that question I just asked, what is the rationale behind the nose? Okay, can you give me that? Anybody? Anybody that said no up there, give me the rationale behind it. If you were going to leave a calling card at a crime scene, wouldn't you make sure that it was clean and that none of your DNA was on it? And see, that's what just proves you there. 31%. And I think those are all trolls. These are the people that watch in the background and they always respond with the exact opposite of reality. Hey, thanks, Lisa Valenzuela. He never had it on. I didn't ask that question. He never had it on a belt. He wear a belt around his monk. What the shit, man, have it, Jesus. I would never touch it, but cross transfer happens. What? Yeah, I'm sure you do. I don't even have to. I read what Bubblegum says. I agree with so-and-so, and I guarantee you that whatever the person said, it's something opposite of what I said. Because that's all they ever do on this channel. Doesn't matter what. I could say, man, the sky is blue, and somebody would say, well, it's actually... And you go, I agree. I agree. Now, I'll time you out again, Bubblegum. And that's not what you did earlier. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. I personally think he planned to plant that, he wouldn't have left it somewhere random. Right. That's right. I think I agree with at Oni up to Omi. There was a guy named Oni that used to do it. Remember that guy? That these are just the trolls countering. Because why wouldn't you make sure? Okay, let me just do this. Let me do another poll, okay? I'll do the same type of question, but it'll be all right. There you go. This is the foolproof answer that no matter what, if you answer it a certain way, you are a troll or just absolutely responding oppositely just for effect. All right, just to do it, you know. So here we go. If you leave a calling card at a crime scene, would you make sure your DNA wasn't on it? All right, that should be 100%, right? That should be 100, but look, it's not. See that? You. Right? I mean, look at that. That's crazy. So it's literally, you can actually count the trolls in here. It's hilarious. Hey, Stu, I don't care what your opinion is, man. You get what I'm saying? You keep typing in the same thing with nothing to back it up. You haven't given any logical explanations. I've read them. Used to channels that do not have factual discussions and say whatever they want. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, probably John Dunn. That's what I think. But I'm not really. I'm actually. I'm having a good time. You know. This is how we are at like Thanksgiving. Like, hey, you know, what do you think? You know, you just get in these little debates and arguing and whatever. It's no big deal, you know. It's just when people, what I can't stand is when people, when they disagree without any explanation at all when you've just given them really clear reasons? Are you going to keep complaining, T-Moral, over and over again? Whining endlessly? It'd be cool if you just went back to being sort of a normal, productive freak. You know, it was kind of fun before, but you just sort of lately, every time I say something, it's just... let's see. Yeah, so planning. Right, Coburger thinks he was smarter than all the rest of the people out there. He had it all figured out, man. And I don't know. I mean, he obviously touched the knife sheath at some point, probably when he bought it, right? So he's probably, you know, snapping it on and off, and then then he got the gloves on, and then if the DNA was found on the bottom of the button snap, doesn't it seem at that point it's more likely that it's a calling card, because that means he wiped down everything, you know, probably thoroughly with something on the outside. What are you talking about, Mom of something? Who are you? Are you Mama 457 Rose? I'm not a bot or troll, and Brian did it. Who are you? I've never even seen you comment in here tonight. But let me just ask you something. I'm not going to do a poll on that. You know why? Because look at right up here. We have 88 votes of, if you leave a calling card at a crime scene, would you make sure your DNA wasn't on it, the calling card? And literally 17 people said no, that they wouldn't make sure that their DNA wasn't on it. And it's just not intellectually honest. It's fake. I've said that already, Elena. I've answered that 17 times. I said, well, sorry, I was supposed to just say, who cares? But you always do this, Elena, so you're different. What if the sheath was covered in blood? Have they mentioned the condition of the sheath? Yeah, we've talked about that all the way through the night, that we don't know. I'm just going based on the wording that they have used, is that they can only find one single source of DNA on the knife sheath. Now, does that mean that they found many other DNA samples that were a mixture, and that's the only single source they found? And if that's the case, it would change what I was thinking. Even in that situation, you know, I mean, then it would be stupid, though. That's the thing. It would be incredibly stupid to leave a calling card at a crime scene without attempting to clean it. If you thought you cleaned it really well, it's probably, you know, he didn't realize the capabilities of law enforcement, and he missed a spot. Other than that, he cleaned it really well. There are always a couple, yeah. That's what it always feels like. People just come in, they just lazily answer, they just sort of, yeah, they don't really want to have like something that makes me go, yeah, hell, that's a good point. I mean, there's been good points in here of like, maybe he cleaned it, he never touched it ever, like he got it with gloves, and somehow on the bottom of the button snap he left some DNA on it, and it accidentally got knocked off at the crime. But I think that was a good point earlier when somebody said, why would you bring the sheath into the house at all if it was loose? And then other people say, well, maybe it wasn't loose and it got ripped off of his pant, his belt. I don't know. No, I think it's... Do you think it's smart to order? Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if you guys want to do your own poll questions on Super Chats, we'll put those in there. Crime scene technicians would be able to tell if the sheath was clean just before the murders. Like if there is no viruses or bacteria on it except for under the snap. Yeah, well, as soon as we hear about all this stuff and what the knife sheath and the photos of it and things like that, then we'll have a clear picture. I think if he didn't clean it, then he did not leave it there intentionally. If he cleaned that knife sheath, then I think he did leave it there intentionally. That's how I'm looking at it. That's kind of like the genesis of the theory, is that this knife sheath appears to be pristine, based on what they said. Nobody said it's pristine. All they said was they could only find one single source of DNA on the knife sheath. Does that mean, again, like I said a minute ago, that they could only find one single source, but there was many sources of combined mixtures? Yeah, buying it on Amazon was, even he realized it was kind of stupid later. I wonder if he was trying to get rid of his original order when he did this thing over here where he, where is that? Right on the 15th, or was it the 18th? No, the 22nd. He navigated to pages related to deletion of account activity. So do you think maybe he was looking into deleting the original purchase of the K-bar knife, or just his sort of looking around activity? Because that'd be interesting if he was trying to get rid of that original one. Well, I think I have that document right here, T-Moral. It's right here. Let me just read every part that says sheath, okay? Want me to do that? This is a order addressing IgG DNA and order for in-camera review. So this is probably before that hearing they had. Did you find that, by the way? Lisa Valenzuela, were you ever able to find that? So this right here says, DNA located on the K-bar knife sheath found at the crime scene. And it says DNA matched with the DNA found at the crime scene. Through the IgG process, the FBI constructed a family tree of individuals whose DNA matched with the DNA found on the knife sheath. And then we go down here. While investigating the murders, law enforcement discovered a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan. And then it said, there. The Idaho State Lab located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. Now, once law enforcement had single source DNA from the K-bar knife sheath, they conducted what is called a short tandem repeat. And that's once they had the DNA, they created a CODIS upload, and they couldn't find a match for him. Let's see. And over here it's on December 27th, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from Coburger's family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28th, Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father. And down here it said a traditional STR DNA comparison was done between the STR profile found on the K-bar knife sheath and the defendant. So now they took a direct swab from him. The comparison showed a statistical match. Specifically, the STR profile is at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be seen if defendant is the source than if an unrelated individual randomly selected from the general population is the source. Let's see right here. Yeah, so the DNA from the knife sheath did not get a match in CODIS. Let's see if there's any better wording. Investigators use IgG to begin process of developing a lead to the individual who left the DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. The Idaho State Police utilized a private laboratory, and that was Othram Lab, single nucleotide polymorphism profile from the DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. And it just says DNA on the K-bar suspect who left the, there's just, there's nothing like different happening in these. Hey, thank you, Lisa Delgado. Let's see, what are we at? We are, if you guys do, if somebody does another 5 channel memberships, I'll donate 5 myself. The defense argues that the IgG information sought is material to the preparation of the defense. Alright, so anyways, let me just go through the rest of them. DNA and the knife sheath showed a statistical match. I think we've gone through all of them. There's 17. So it doesn't say anywhere in here on the underside of the button snap. But haven't you guys heard that a million times being reported in the news? So I guess that's not even true. But I thought I heard it in a hearing of some sort at one point. Did we have any luck finding that? Yes, you did what? Let's see. We've all heard the news say that, right? I'm so bad at tech, super stickers, so Gray would know the change my mind about, huh? I'm just over here. I mean, I don't care if I change anybody's minds. I just want to have like a normal, like a debate type of conversation instead of somebody just coming back with no. It's kind of lame, not really fun. I like to debate the various reasons why somebody, like when that officer was in here earlier, whatever, ex-officer, he just was kind of rude about it, just not really. I don't know if he left it there as a calling card. I think there's a good chance. That's it. Because he was studying serial killers. Hey, all right. Amber Maiden and John Dunn. And there's Dixie Hippie. Hey, you guys are getting close to where I'll give 5. Cool. But the DNA was found on the sheath, proving he touched it once without gloves. Right. Or if it was transferred. What are you saying? I don't. You're sort of, seems like you're proving our point. I get your point, but his DNA was found on the sheath, proving he touched it once without gloves. Right. Right. We know that. And that's why he had to clean it. And proving how easy DNA could be left on it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to end the poll up there. I think most rational-minded people said yes. The rest of them are trolls, so we got at least probably 40 trolls in this show tonight. Just waiting in their little social media groups, waiting for some calamity to happen. Right, I bet I know who you were answering. So I'll just break down. I mean, again, like everybody in here said, is this the face you would make if you accidentally left a knife sheath at a crime scene and you're so pumped with yourself? I think you'd be like shit, just crapping your pants unless you thought that the item that you left there you made sure was clean. Now, in your other scenarios, you said he cleaned it anyways, and so he feels good about it. because he felt like he cleaned it, but he missed a spot. So either way, well, how about this? Let's just do this. I'll do another poll question. There we go. John Dunn's having a good time tonight. So what is that, 4? All right, well, one more then, I guess. Okay, so if you think he cleaned everything, then yeah, you'll think he cleaned that. Just seems odd to clean an item you're taking with you. I could see shoes because you're touching the ground with it. And maybe you want to clean your shirts and everything because they might have a hair or something. But a knife sheath, that's kind of a different type of thing. Different situation. I'll tell you what, it'd be pretty cool though at trial if they suggest that. And I think, I've been saying this for how long, you guys? I mean, this is just an opinion. And I always say that I think it very well easily could be the other way around. I'm not married to it. But I've been saying it for, I mean, geez, I would say maybe 2 years now, at least. Minimum. More than that. Probably after we went over the probable cause a couple times. Yeah. So we need one more channel membership, and then I'll gift 5 myself. I think it probably was a calling card, but either way, his personality says he cleaned it. Right, so 71% of the people say yes. Now, if it's mixtures and it's just, I mean, the wording that they said, I think it's like 50-50, if it means that the only single source they found, like I could read it like this. At the crime scene, a law enforcement found a K-bar knife sheath on the bed of Madison Mogan. When technicians tested the knife sheath, they were only able to find one single source of DNA on that knife sheath, but there were many sources that were mixtures of DNA. Like that could have been the sentence, but there's no reason you would put that in these documents. You're not talking about that. Hey, thanks, Suz F. BK is abnormal. You think so? Hey everybody, BK is abnormal. Earth-shattering new information. Breaking news, everybody! Brian Coburger is abnormal.
Even knowing what I know, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
There we go. There we go.
It was just in my blood, you know, the patriotic feeling.
Can't stop it. There we go. All right. So we just sent that in. There we go. There's 5 more. Who we got them? Annie B 9940, Rebecca Galen, Birdie Marie 6480, Moon Dancer 29, House of Cards Tarot. Do you have a different document, T. Moral, to go over? Very, very abnormal. Pamela. Yeah, but I'm not dead set on my opinion. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just making the case that it was a calling card. But when people say, no, it's not, they don't have any, you know, like I could sit there and argue back and forth. I can argue both sides on this one. Oh, you sent me a document. It's on page 10. All right, sweet. And when was this one? Did I find that one too? Wow, I think I looked for that document. I might have even downloaded it, but I didn't see anything. I looked for the word sheath, or maybe it was the snap or something. So let's see. Page 10. Looks like Lisa Valenzuela may have found it. Furthermore, following... let's see, what date is this? This is from... Oh, this is this year. February 24th, 2025. Alright. Furthermore, allowing... Maybe we should go over this whole document, actually, right? In this case, the only DNA evidence that implicates Mr. Coburger is the DNA found on the sheath found in the residence. From the lab report and notes, as well as recent testimony by Rylene Nolan, it appears that the sample, Q1.1, was a swabbing of the leather strap on the sheath as well as the interior of the snap, not the outer snap surface, which apparently was not sampled in order to preserve the surface for fingerprinting. Well, that's interesting. I remember reading this, actually, but I forgot all about like where we read this. Isn't that crazy? Wasn't that, I mean, that's wild. They didn't even swab that to preserve it for fingerprinting, but I think once they didn't have fingerprinting, they should have swabbed it. Because if there is DNA on that outer button snap, I would probably think more likely that he left it there accidentally. But listen to that. It's on the underside of the button snap. So I guess in this case, it's like man, that's it's almost likely that it was on the outer button snap. They just didn't test it. You know what I mean? No, that's not why you said that. That's not why you said that at all. Velis. I remember what you said up above. It had nothing to do with that. You're just trying to make it fit what you said. No, I mean, the thing is, I really want to know now if there's DNA on that outer button snap. I mean, wouldn't they, once they checked to see if there wasn't DNA on the button snap, I mean, not there wasn't a fingerprint on the outer button snap, that they would then test it for DNA? Like, not preserve it anymore and retest it? Because it's amazing how important it is for that theory. The outer button snap, if it's on the inside, that means he spent time cleaning it. Now, if it's on the outer button snap, that means he did not spend time cleaning the knife sheath at all, and he left it there as a, just... It got knocked off during a battle. Yeah, but that's probably an accurate statement, wouldn't you say? Was there a response to this somewhere? Let's see. No. Let's see. Was swabbing of the leather strap on the sheath as well as the interior of the snap. So that's like right inside. Probably like right in there, And that means he snapped it shut. You know what's interesting about that? How easy is it to snap it when you're snapping it shut? Don't you just kind of press down with your, because it's tight, right? I mean, this doesn't look like that. But wouldn't that mean that you actually snapped it shut with the knife not in it when that would have happened? And if that's the case, that means they were both loose when he came into the house. Isn't that interesting? I mean, because the thing is when you put it in, you would fold the other part, and the other one goes over the top, and you would just kind of press it against the knife to snap it, right? It seems like you would like these things are loose, let's say, and you move one up, and then this one goes over the top, and then you press it to snap it. But I guess when you're putting this lower one there, you might have slid your thumb on it, and then you... Yeah, but even opening it, you would just take your fingernails underneath right there and just pull it open, right? Right there. Because how would it get on the underside of that? That seems like something you would do once the knife was out and you kind of snapped it together, and then you have this nice DNA underneath of the snap there. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Yeah, the Dylan and Bethany Funk are off limits on my channel. They have nothing to do with anything, and I get really sick of it when people bring them up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, maybe we need to get one like Court TV did, like actually purchase a K-bar knife and see like how it works and how tight things are. I mean, this visual here, it's not tight, but this is just well, that's not even accurate. Look, they looks like they kind of screwed up on that. Can I move that over? What if I take the element of this? Oh yeah, see, I can take that and no. Can I just slide that over? Nah, but that's not how it works. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, it's just the 3D model, so they kind of screwed up on that part. But anyways, that's kind of what the button snap looks like. Hey, thanks this account. Yeah, it's just irrelevant. Now, the Proburger people out there, they think that Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen are in the center of this whole thing, man. And and they can't let it go. Their brains are been fried. There are photos on Amazon of the snap open. Yeah, you know, like a snap, right? Let's see. I've looked on there before to see which one he may have ordered. See, they sell knife sheaths by themselves. See that? Can I move it around if you click on that? Oh, there you go. Yeah, so there's like, that's what would snap. Like that's one side is the male and then female. It goes inside of the other one. So if you put the knife on there, you would probably move with one of your fingers the underside portion on top of the knife and then fold the other part. Like for example, this part over here, I think is the underside. So you would flip it onto the top of the knife, and then you'd have to move over this part of the strap over, and then you press down on it. So I guess it would, you know, no matter how you do it, you're going to touch this side at one point to put it on top of the knife, and then move the other one on top of that, and then snap it shut. God, I hate this, how Amazon doesn't let you type. It's just crazy. Let me type. So you try to remove stuff and it doesn't let you do it. It's crazy. Yeah, so it was like 100. You know, if you're buying the together, it's probably this one right there. USMC Eagle Globe, $105. But the sheath is cheap. Perfect for a calling card. Yeah, so this is kind of messed up how they fit that in there. Yeah, see, it looks like they did that right there, but for some reason, when you put the knife back in there, it sort of doesn't really work right. I don't know. Do make better models, you guys. Let the belt with initials HM. Yeah. And who was the... What did they determine that was? Maybe it was actually WH. Because remember, could be Huerman, and maybe the W is somebody else. Another Huerman in his family. From the knife, the exact same one you can buy separate? Probably. I mean, you just look up the Eagle Globe, USMC Eagle Globe knife sheath, and that would be probably exactly the same. I'm sure they don't make a whole bunch of different varieties of that. Well, it's not part of the weapon. It was just a sheath that held the weapon. I guess it would like if it was a gun, it would be something like let's say you shot people and then you would leave the holster at the crime scene, neatly folded, with only one single source of DNA on the button snap. Yeah. Do you guys want to go over this document here? Maybe it's interesting. Or that's not the one, right? It was... Let me get the one that was just sent. I want to know where that part was where we've heard... I thought I heard at some point that there was other blood and so forth, like on the knife sheath itself. Like somewhere, I remember we were doing a show and I go, oh wow, so they did find, you know. I remember saying that. I just don't know if that was in a dream or what that was. There we go. Hey, thank you, Don Jackson 2719, and thank you, Julie GM8FZ. And by the way, you guys, didn't I do better tonight with not, you know, asking? And I mean, I've been trying. It's hard sometimes to do these shows, but I think I've done pretty good tonight without the. You know, trying to get, hey everybody, if you get, you know, the supporting the channel stuff. I'm sure that gets old after a while. It's not millions of K-bars. 50,000 are produced yearly. Yeah. Did I say there were millions? I don't remember saying that. Well, we don't know, Lord Webb, do we? Because it could be backwards or forwards or... Right. Right, so that's right, Ben Morgan. So that was William Huerman. I thought I heard something like that at one point. I was even thinking William in my head, but I didn't remember where I thought of that, so I didn't say it. No, I didn't. It didn't say that. It said they tested that. Sort by date. There it is. This one. Gee. What are you referring to, M10? I don't know. It's kind of just normal, Julie. But yeah, I mean, it was more smooth, I guess. But some nights it's not like that at all. It's just, you know. Will testify the characteristics and nature of touch DNA. Maybe we can just do this page 10. Or is there anything else interesting in there? See, look how stupid the defense is. This court must exclude the use of the term touch or contact DNA. See, because they think when you say that, it means that, ooh, he touched it. All right? But you know what's worse? Doesn't this sound worse? His DNA was on the underside of the button snap. Or if you said his touch DNA was on there. I think most people sort of have a basic understanding. Like touch DNA is like, okay, it's skin cells or something. You know, you can transfer that, etc. But if you just say DNA, it sounds a lot more damning. Thank you at this account. Will you be streaming the trial? Yes, I am going to. People ask me all the time, are you going to go to the trial? And I'm thinking, why would I go to the trial? I mean, sure, I'd get to see some crime scene photos or whatever, but I want to stream it with all the freaks and everybody. I think my value would be covering the entire trial with all my animations and graphics and things available to look at. I think that'd be pretty cool. Right? I mean, if I went there, what would I just come on later and go, oh yeah, I went there, and I don't know, I think it'd be fun just to go over the whole thing together. And I can make better screens. I might do one where each window is its own screen, and then you can just watch one thing, switch over. We tried that one time. But like when there's an expert up there and they're talking, you probably just want to focus in on what they're saying. I hope they do it differently too, where they had an extra space that they weren't using. You know, because there was like 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom, or 1 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And it'd be cool if one of those squares was a camera on the exhibit screen. Something like that. I mean, what do you guys want me to do? You want me to cover this? Do the whole trial together? I think that's about the only, I mean, it's what I want to do. And plus, it's like Delphi. You have a very low chance of getting in. Maybe even October, M10. I mean, the idiot that came jumping out at me? Maybe. I don't know. Aphrodite. Yeah. The Linda Lane landlord, the psycho. That guy was absolutely crazy. And then you get these troll dipshits going, Gray, he ran away. I just walked away. I was trying to walk away from this guy. I don't know what he is. You know, when you're in a town, you don't really know. You're not going to just start doing something. I mean, it's weird. You guys are crazy people. Yeah, he's a psycho. Give me your phone. I'm like, I'm not giving you my phone. And you know how I know he's a psycho? Because after that, even after I left, he started following me around. I mean, who the hell does that? That's crazy. That's what lunatics do. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to, when we watch it together, we'll be able to, I mean, my channel's covered this really in depth, where we've gone over the probable cause about 5 different times. and then all the documents that have come out, the ones that are important anyways, and then we've gone, I made a 3D model of the house, you know, so I've got this, but it's not a big deal there. Let's see. Yeah, so like this one, I'll show you this. Did Bundy have a calling card? I can do a, oh, did he have a calling card? Let's see. I don't think so. Did Bundy leave a calling card? I don't think he did. While the concept of a calling card often refers to a specific unique item or symbol deliberately left at a crime scene by an offender, Ted Bundy didn't consistently leave such a singular identifier. However, he did exhibit distinctive patterns, that would be a signature, and actions in his crimes that served as kind of a signature or psychological calling card. Well, that's, not really. What Bundy would do is leave bite marks, method of abduction. It was often a ruse. Bundy's victims' preference were generally young, attractive women, usually brown hair too, parted in the middle. Yeah, there it is, parted in the middle. Mirroring an eerily imprinted sexual preference, I think, to his mother. Ritualistic behavior. Bundy engaged in disturbing ritualistic behaviors such as revisiting the bodies of his victims, I said that earlier in the show, and taking trophies like jewelry and photos. He was also known to pose bodies and meticulously clean crime scenes. So the posing of a body, that's sort of the crossover into a, like a kind of a calling card, because it's like at the scene and you're sending a message to the people who found the bodies. Yeah, he would walk around. Remember we did that whole series on him? Bundy would walk around, pretend his leg was hurt or something, and then these girls, because he was sort of attractive, they would go, oh yeah, let me help you with that. And then he would attack them. Who cares? Whose motive? Why do people always ask that question about Coburger? What's Bundy's motive? What's Jeffrey Dahmer's motive? Anybody have any? So we don't understand motives from people like him. That's why his case is so interesting to me, because he's like an actual serial killer-like person that was caught. I mean, he was going right away on his first one, because he got, what do you call it? He was not thorough. If he left as a calling card, he wasn't thorough. If he left it accidentally, then he was careless. He was careless either way, because he didn't clean the sheath. Right, but there's no, like, you can't go, hey, here's what his motive was. That's what I'm saying. Everybody wants this neat little package, and there just isn't one, I mean, I've often told this. You've probably heard this 75 times in here. But this is, I think, one of the creepiest things that I ever saw was this interview with, there was this Asian guy. I don't remember what, it was sort of around the time of Delphi, way back then. And they had a video of this guy. This girl went down a path, and then he followed. And then she didn't come back, and then he came out. And then they caught him and arrested him, and they brought him in. And they asked him, they said, why'd you do this? And he goes, I don't know, I just wanted to see what it felt like. He killed her, And his answer was, I don't know, I just wanted to see what it felt like. And that's when I mean, what motive is that one? That's it? He wanted to see what it felt like? Would you accept that one? That's what he said, and I believe him. I think he was an absolute psycho or a sociopath or somebody. He didn't have any feelings of what I'm doing is going to destroy this person's life. I just want to see what it felt like. Oh, I'm sure about that, Joyce. I think they're chock. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to go, oh my God, that's crazy, right? That's why I want to be with the freaks when all that stuff comes out. Yeah, Ramirez was one of the ones they mentioned. Yeah, give me a reason, Nor Charles 80. I didn't ask you any time recently, so give us a reason. All right. Wow. So everybody says yes. He cleaned, or 65 said yes. Yeah, so look at that. There's my 3D model of the house right there. See that? And we can do anything. Take off the roof over here if we want. Go like that. And you can see right in there. There's Madison Mogan. I mean, this is kind of a useful thing. Look at that. There's the stairs that come up. There's Madison Mogan's room. It's really small. And so you can see Kaylee's room is almost double the size. Like if you went there and added all that, that would be Kaylee's room. But Madison's room is small because that's a bathroom right there. I don't have anything in it. It's just a door. There's no real reason for that. Well, thanks, Esther. Yeah, so we're going to be able to, like, when they're talking on the show. And another thing, let me show you. We've got the, you know, like, again, we have this video. It's really good. It's a 360-degree video, so while it's playing, I mean, you can actually look around at all the different things. So, like, right there, that could have been a place where he parked right down there, one of those weird loops that he did, and you could see right over to the house there. Here's 1112, or 1112 King Road. That's 1119, and that's 1127 right there. So we get all that. And then I also have, let me see, upload another. I think that's under, where did I put that? Probably in here. Idaho crime scene. The 360 panoramic third version. Right there. There we go. See, like, look how cool this is. Hey, thanks, M10. Right, so now we can look around. See this? Inside the house. And, you know, the kitchen's a little different. The sink's on an angle there. But the rest of it's in the right place. This one doesn't have the cabinet overhead that I have in my other 3D models out there. I might redo it, you know, do a better version later. But, like, this is playing as we're going. And they used to have a version where you could actually record a video in 360. It just takes forever to render, but it was awesome. So you could be moving around and you're looking the whole time. But see, there's a living room. This is Dylan Mortensen's bedroom. Now this is Dylan Mortensen's bedroom there. Those are the same steps going up. This is the like a pantry right there. And that's the living room, and those are the stairs that go down. Now I'm going up the stairs. That's Dylan Mortensen's room right there. That's the living room, dark. That's the window that looks out the back of the house. So if you were looking at, it doesn't matter. Then these are the stairs going up to the 3rd floor. Because there's no evidence at all that there was a second killer. LB There's no evidence at all. Zero evidence. So unless you, it's up to you, LBB, whatever the hell that weird name is, it's up to you to come up with any evidence that there's a second killer. And there is none, so you're kind of stuck at that point. Alright, so then there's the base of the stairs. Have you guys, most of you guys seen this already or what? And then there's a bathroom upstairs that we were just showing a minute ago without the roof. There's Kaylee's room. That's the window that goes out to the front parking lot. That's the bathroom. And that's Madison Mogan's room right there. So there's her room right here. There's Kaylee's room. That's the bathroom. And obviously this is the room. Look at that. That's the room that Coburger goes into, and he kills Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez. Now he's in the room. That's the window that goes outside that you can see. There's a parking area right back there. And you know, I even have the sheath on the bed there. But that's generally how they were laid out. She might have been on her back, and they said it was near her right side because she was, I don't know. But for some reason the model here lost its texture map, so it's completely dark. Play what video? I don't have a video. And now we're out in the hall. But I mean, I think this will be really useful, don't you think? When we're doing this? Like when they're just talking and then there's a break or something, we can go, okay, now look, this is what they were talking about. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to have anything like that. So this is where you're going to want to be. Hey, thank you, T. Layak. Do you think Brian spotted Dylan Mortensen? No, I don't. And the reason I don't think Brian spotted Dylan Mortensen, see, this is the difference, is I give a reason. You guys just go, oh, no, you know. The reason that I don't think he spotted Dylan Mortensen is because if he did, and he chose to, like he's just too tired to kill anybody, I'm getting the hell out of here, he would have got out of there. I mean, you see how fast he left once he got into his car. But man, he spent 2 minutes at his car doing blood spatter mitigation. Do you think that he's going to be sitting there if he knew somebody was calling 911 right now? Like they're just on the phone? I don't know. I think he didn't see her. That's just an opinion. That's just, and I used it based on facts. See, all these things I've thought about. I don't just willy-nilly go, well, he's definitely, he left it there accidentally, everybody. There's no doubt about it. And, well, why not? Why isn't there a doubt about it? Because that's not one of those things that we actually know the answer to. I'm giving you the reasons why it could be a calling card. The knife sheath left there. Hey, cool. Well, very cool there. See? T-like. And by the way, if you guys aren't channel memberships, think of becoming a channel member. But you can also make yourself available to be a channel member. Maybe get your first month free, because we got a lot of generous freaks here who buy memberships for people. Unfortunately, we have a community of trolls that make themselves available for memberships too. So oftentimes, some of the memberships we're giving out are given to people who actually hate the channel, and they're just, I mean, think how crappy they are as people. They always bitch about, like, me and my channel and stuff, but think about them for a minute. Whew, wow. So look at this one right here. This is, you know, that's how Xana would have been on the ground. These are just 3D models, guys. There's no blood or anything. Her feet are facing the door, her head towards the wall. There's a little closet over there. And then let me go back a little bit. I mean, I guess I could just play it. This is what Dylan Mortensen would have seen. Kind of more like, not like that one. Maybe the next one. Let's see. Yeah, kind of more like that, but she's just right over here. I might have had one before. Let's see. No. Right? That's close. But like right over there, you can see her, and that's all Dylan Mortensen saw. So I think the door was wide open, you guys. I think it was absolutely wide open, and she could see that she was passed out, and the only person that ever went back there was Hunter, and he didn't let the other girls see ever. But Dylan Mortensen did see her passed out, she thought, and didn't want to ever verify that it was something worse. And nobody would have lived, by the way. How do you know, Gray? Well, because I think the medical examiner said something like that at one point. I mean, it's just horrendous wounds. Who? Who's a piece of the puzzle? Were there any bloody footprints? Seems lucky. What does that mean? Were there any? It's a question, and then you say seems lucky. Yeah, there was a bloody footprint in front of Dylan Mortensen's door. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So the DoorDash driver we've talked about. The DoorDash driver will not hurt the case in any way. However, she could help it dramatically if she literally saw Brian Kohberger's face and says, yeah, that's the guy I saw. But I think she can be impeached. You know who she reminds me of in the Delphi case, you guys? She reminds me of Sarah Carbaugh. The sighting on the road. I think it's just sort of like, yeah, I don't know what she saw, Nobody really knows. We don't know. If it's a size 13 or 14 or whatever the hell it is that he has, then it'll be a big deal. But didn't mean to leave the DNA. That's what I always say, beauty for ashes. I've been trying to get people to sort of see the logic of that, but she said, I think, see how she said, I think, because we don't know either. What are you responding to, Amber? I get so sidetracked quickly on other things. Oh yeah, Sarah Carbaugh comparison. Yeah, I don't think she saw his face. She said, I saw him near the house, meaning she saw the car. Yeah, but she did say she saw him, but she could just be referring to the car because she, like everybody else, knows that Brian Kohberger was driving the vehicle. I think he meant to leave the knife sheath, but didn't mean to leave the DNA. Probably forgot to wipe that part off when his last move was to snap it shut. Right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I picture it. And I even had an argument with ChatGPT about it. And they were like, yeah, no, he definitely left it there accidentally because he, he would have cleaned it. And I go, no, but what if he cleaned? I went through the whole process, and at the end, ChatGPT was like, yeah. See, because that program has the ability to, when shown logic, might shift its thought process, where humans don't do that. They go, well, nope. I mean, most people, they go, this is what I believe, therefore I'll never change it. And the thing is I do change my mind if you give me something that's more likely than what I said. And I'm telling you, there is nothing that says it's more likely that the sheath was left accidentally. In fact, I would argue that what we've heard so far is more likely that it was left intentionally. All right, but when I say more, I'm talking like 55-45. It's not a big deal. But when people say that they know for certain that he accidentally left it there, well, you're just full of crap too, you know, because you you don't know that, right? You might believe that. You can say that, like, hey, I think he did that, and here's why, you know. And then I go, okay, cool. It's when people go, Gray, that's ludicrous, man. There's no way in hell he left it there accidentally or left it there intentionally. Hell, there was DNA on it. I mean, who the hell would do that? And then I always have to keep explaining it over and over to that same logical argument. And I go, he didn't know he left DNA on it. He thought he cleaned it all except for that little part on the bottom of the button snap. That doesn't make any sense, Gray. Well, no, it makes complete sense. You just don't want it to make sense because it doesn't fit your story. So that's exactly right. No, it doesn't. That's because you argued it in a certain way, Omi. I guarantee it. All right. I have the whole thing. We went through it over and over. You didn't argue it correctly. You just wanted to say what you wanted it to say. Anyways, the DDD is the reason the door he made other. Yeah, that's what I've said 100 times. Nope, I just said that. I just did it. I just screwed up. Yeah, I said on the show, as Lisa Valenzuela said, I don't know how many times, but the DoorDash driver is why he turned around, and he's the reason they have the shot with no front license plate. Now, I know, you just asked it point blank. I know what you're saying, Omi. I did the same thing. I told you that. When I asked it, it said that. And then I told it the reality of the situation, and then it changed. Like if you argue with it and you said, well, they go, well, there's DNA on it, so he left it there accidentally. You go, well, what if it was completely cleaned, but there was only a little left that he forgot to clean on the bottom of it? See, that's the difference. You didn't do that. You just asked him point blank. I did the same thing when I started. And I uploaded a whole bunch of documents too, so. Now, it seems more likely intentional to leave it underneath. It wasn't under the body. It was underneath, partially underneath a quilt. Seems like you'd almost tuck it under there. It wasn't under the body, so you kind of misquoted that. Yeah, but the only reason they have this shot of missing a front license plate and being able to identify the make, you know, the year range was between, I think it was 2014 to 16, was because of the DoorDash driver. It went backwards and drove around like this. So at 3:59-ish, it's coming around over here, and then it does a U-turn over here. It comes back this way, and then at 4 o'clock and 15 seconds, it's right there. So this is what Coburger does. The DoorDash driver is right there. At like 3:59, he's driving over here. 3:59, and there's some seconds on there. What is that? 3:59:04. All right. So 3:59:04. He's driving over here, but because of the DoorDash driver, he does a U-turn over here, and then at 4 o'clock and 15 seconds. Or 14 seconds, because I think it was 1:10, right? 4:14, there you go. 4:14, he's right back here again, but then he sees the DoorDash driver still there, so it does not go in there. And if you go based off of the key fob sound, look how perfect that is. The key fob is the purple. So it's key fob, key fob, key fob, still there, goes and delivers. Then he's driving back, she's still there, so then it's key fob getting back to the car, key fob again. So then he drives by here like this, and then comes around and then passes the Ridge Road house. And then right at that moment, is that image that we've seen. The car was heading left to right on the screen, and it's missing a front license plate, so it probably picks it up when it's there, and then side shot, and then it drives away. And then the vehicle comes around like this again, all the way around, and then makes its way back in. And, you know, 404 is the DoorDash driver leaving at that point. The only way for the DoorDash driver to have seen him again, it would be like parked again, because she said she parked right next to him, which could be either way, that he parked next to her or she parked next to him. But he, let's say at 4:07 and 47 seconds right there, and then 4:08, he comes down here again. So if she's still sitting there at 4:08, that's where this case takes a turn. Don't you guys agree with that? Because if she's still sitting there at 4:08 and he parks and he gets out of the car after doing blood spatter, like she might be sitting in her car with the lights off. You're not going to want to keep your neighbors up, the delivery people, the people you're delivering to, awake with your headlights, right? So she turns off her headlights and sits there, and so let's say he pulls up and doesn't even notice her, but he's looking up, as people have said, at Xana's room, checking. And then he does blood spatter mitigation right there, and then walks around the house and then goes inside. That'd be pretty crazy if that's the scenario. I doubt it. That seems really much less likely than her leaving in between 4 o'clock and 4:03, and he shows up and there's nobody there, but he's checking to see what impact whatever that car was had on the house. We've already gone over that, T-Moral. Like, I mean, it's in the probable cause, right? They walked up into the house. Upon entering the room, you could see a... Here, I'll do it. How many times have I gone over this probable cause document? Let's see. I'm going to do it again now. For practice and just going with the flow. I'm still struggling with my initial response. That's... let's see. Alright, as I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I was later advised by ISP investigator that they located a tan knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. The sheath was later processed, and K-Bar USMC... See, that's interesting because there's another version of that. I think the other probable cause... Let me see. Because there are 2 different officers here. This one is by Dustin Blaker. Now let's see the other one. Was this... hold on. Okay, that was the first one then. Okay, that's Dustin Blaker. They're almost identical, but they're worded different in some portions. That's Blaker again, huh? God, I have to go find the original. It's a long document. Yeah, one of them says when he entered the room, he could see that, but it wasn't Dustin Blaker. What's the other officer's name? I think he says it right here. He goes into the house with Payne. So there's a Brett Payne version, too. Okay, here we go. I just found it really fast out there. Let me save this. Yeah, see, you know what's funny is these original documents told us all we needed to know, but people didn't want to believe them. I already said Brett Payne, yeah. See, right here it says, as I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle laying on the floor. That's exactly what Dylan Mortensen said. And we've all known that on this channel. But the other one, oh, how did she see that? We heard Ethan was out there. Yeah, we did hear Ethan originally, but later, as soon as you read this probable cause document, you realize that they did not see Ethan from the hallway. That means he's not in the hall, right? Because it says right after that, also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined. Be created by a sharp force injuries. Hey, thanks Ted Bundy again. Alright, right over here, let's see. As I entered this bedroom, I could see two females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. So what about that? See how that's different than the other guy? The other guy said he heard from investigators, but it sounds like he's observing it immediately himself. There you go, T. Morrill, right there. Who's lucky to be alive? Who? Who are you talking to, Dixie? Yeah, well, either way, we're all happy that he didn't leave. Let me say, what's more important? And let me do another poll here. Important. Yeah, I'll just do it like that. I've asked this before. The DNA on the sheath or surveillance footage. Because it's an interesting argument in logic, and then I don't know how to word it, but what if the other didn't exist? I think this case is better if let's say there was no DNA and you had the surveillance footage, than it would be if you had the surveillance footage without the DNA. Or the other way around. If you had the DNA without the surveillance footage is weaker. It's arguably weaker than it is with surveillance without the DNA. Holy crap, T. Morrill, we agreed on something. And I didn't word it that way. But let me try a different one. So we'll end that one. Looks like 76 said DNA. 78. Let me try it differently. Which is more valuable without the other? Either no surveillance or All right, there you go. See, it's an interesting argument because I could make a better argument if there was no Elantra video. Man, that DNA, you know, I mean, what proof? Then you could really start arguing about the, well, I mean, it could just be touch DNA. I mean, we don't have any, you know, he wasn't even there. He was somewhere else, and you don't know how it got there. It's confusing. The Elantra, however, he owns a white Elantra, and he had his phone turned off, and it was missing a front license plate. And then if you can start putting some of the other stuff together, oh look, he purchased a K-bar knife on Amazon. You know, you wouldn't know that, you know, because there wouldn't be the I guess the sheath wouldn't, well, if the sheath was left there, let's say there was no sheath though. I guess the sheath is there, but we don't have the DNA. So at least that would still point to, you'd have the K-bar knife was used and a car that was driving around and parked for the exact time that the murders happened. And then you can then find in his records, oh, he purchased a K-bar knife. Wow, that's crazy. And it would all lead back and it'd be a really strong circumstantial case. If you don't have the white Elantra, and I mean, first of all, it would have been, you know, it just, the DNA still would have led to him. But let's say there was no video of a white Elantra, you'd be going, well, how do we know he even made it there? And you could easily, much easier, argue to a jury about the, you know, the DNA problems with touch DNA and things like that if there's no indication other than that he was there. The combination of the DNA and the video of the white Elantra is huge. Those two are incredible because what you have is the DNA on the knife sheath proves that the white Elantra driving around is his. You see that? The car that was parked from 4:08 till 4:20 and about 4:20 and 35 seconds or so, or 40 seconds. That vehicle is Brian Coburger's white Elantra because the DNA was found on the knife sheath. It's unreasonable to believe that white Elantra driving around isn't Coburger's because the DNA is on that knife sheath. Right? Yeah, the combo is like incredible. That's what I'm saying. But if you could only have one, which one would you take? Like if there was not a single shot of an Elantra driving around, then it's kind of weird. There's a sheath that had some touch DNA on it. It does show that whatever, you know, if you can sell it right, that the person was in the house. The white Elantra shows that the person driving the Elantra is likely the killer because it was doing the loops and then stopped just before the killings and left right after the killings. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting, I don't know, kind of a, I don't know what you call it, exercise to do. Yeah, it's probably some crazy stuff, T-Moral. Anyways, sorry for arguing earlier, but I thought tonight I did better than normal. Come on, you got to do baby steps, right? Baby steps. But I want also people, when we're just hypothetically talking, there isn't one of you in here that has a better argument that he left it accidentally than he left it there intentionally. There isn't. It's just sort of an equal, it's like a wash. We don't know. But when you explain it like it's a fact that it was left accidentally, well, it just isn't, you know, at this point. Now, if you tell me, like right now it's like 50-50, don't really know. But if you start saying, okay, it was covered with blood and there was actual DNA on the button snap, then it gets like 95 to 5. I mean, it gets the other way, where it's like most likely left accidentally. And so when a trial happens and they show that, don't go, see, Gray? Because that wasn't your argument, okay? That wasn't your arguments. Your argument was just nothing. It was just, oh, nope, left accidentally. And there was nothing to back it up. And so when trial happens, don't say, see, Gray? Because I already told you, I think that they're going to say that because it gives power to the victims. Too. It's like, okay, it's like the photograph, again, or the video that Libby took. Yeah, but like a certain elements, Mike, that if when it changes, if it's like, okay, it was covered with blood and mixture of DNA, and that was the only single source that they could find, then I would change my mind. I'm basing it on sort of the vague wording that it sounds like they could only find one bit of DNA on that knife sheath, and it was that single source. Hey, Lisa, are you out there looking up, trying to find that one part where they said that there was some other blood on the sheath? No, we don't. No, all we know is they found one single source of DNA on there. That's it. Baby stuff. Come on, I think I did pretty good tonight, though. Overall, it was just sort of like a normal show, just like the old days, just trying to figure something out. Right, but the thing is you can't. There isn't something to disagree with because you don't know either, and you make it sound like it's a fact. Like in your mind, it's a fact that he left it there accidentally, and you shouldn't think like that because there's no way that you could know that at this point. But anyways, thanks for the other stuff. Yeah, I know we do. We just don't agree for some reason. And I'm not even disagreeing with you guys. I'm saying we don't know yet. I think it's like 50-50. Maybe 55-45. Give me more information, I'll change. But for people to claim that they already know that it was left accidentally, that means you're not willing to sort of listen to other information that makes just as much or even more sense when presented. So you got to be able to do that. I saw a crazy video on YouTube where a woman stabbed a guy to death. Then, when she was arrested, the officer offered her Mountain Dew in exchange for her getting in the quad car, and then she took the Mountain Dew and poured it all over herself to ruin the evidence on her clothes. I don't know. Let's see, in college criminology, they teach how police miss crime relationships. Yeah, we just read about that earlier. We were reading the at the beginning, those first documents, how there was an example of how the cops missed it. Well, there you go. We don't know. There you go. But then we agree. But you said you disagree that that it's possible he left it there as a calling card, right? So we agree that we don't know. See? There we go. All right. I'm just giving you the arguments of how it could be a calling card. Thought it was his blood. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, you guys, I think that's going to do it for my show tonight. Thank you to Derek Sherman for gifting a membership. T. Bundy had a good start to the show. It was pretty good. Back Pain Forever gifted a membership. Then Ted Bundy gifted 5. Then KMTX. Then Deidre Gambrel gifted 1. Then Derek Sherman. And then KMTX gifted 1. Then Ted Bundy. Then Cheryl Moran with a double cat eye. And John Dunn did a generous PayPal. That was very kind. Then Judy Fior 2170. Lizzie Robb. Ted Bundy 2345. Allie Cake 9753. Amber Maiden. Cheryl Moran joining in on a wave there. Then Sandy Shirley. Dixie Hippie. Then Alan McMahon. Then Kay in Maine. Shelly Boo Boo gifted 1. Then Mary QC8418. Ted Bundy 230. Ted Bundy. Your Gypsy. Then Coco Banks gifted 1. KMTX78. Thanks, T Moral. M Morgan 7918. Lisa Delgado. Amber Maiden gifted 1. John Dunn gifted 1. Dixie Hippie gifted 1. Lisa Delgado gifted 1. Sazef gifted 1. Then I gifted 5 because they gifted those 5. And then this account. Don Jackson. Julie. This account. Rosie Girl. M10 gifted a membership. T like Ted Bundy. And T Moral right at the end there. And then also Lisa with the coffee. See if you guys can find the reference out there where somebody mentioned like there was other blood or something on that knife sheath. I just remember hearing it one time somewhere, and I don't remember like how I heard it or where it came from. It might have been in one of those hearings, but if you know about it, if you know where that is, let me know. Then we can weigh that in. Yeah, I'm glad you guys thought it was fun. Some of you, anyways. But I thought it was a cool show, you know? I mean, I thought I came with some good stuff to make the argument. But anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And, as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now.
Almost a
And during this
4-hour
whole
show
time,
again.
I have
Jeez,
not seen one
crazy.
person that is a crime dissector,
Oh, 3:30,
thug
3:30.
rejecter. I'm a certified human lie detector.
Gonna get you on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak collector, and I'm always gonna be a paw protector.
Fool
Deflector, interceptor, criminal little spectre with a vector.
Inspector, with all respect, y'all. Just remember, I've a temple fucking check.
Check show, I have no agenda. I never tender, and I'll send it to you straight without agenda. And in the end,
I'm gonna send ya.
That's right,
on a
that's
mission
right.
to reveal the true offender.
John Dunn's like, yeah, remember that? That was
So
funny
let's
that
get
one
right back to
time.
work. All right, everybody.
That's Lori Daybell, everybody. There's my gal. That's hilarious. All right, see you guys later. And be safe out there.